is story time, Derek. Mike Storey, live and in the flesh. We have a great show. This is a Monday, July 6th. We are about 2 months away from the season, Mr. Storey. And the United States had a rough loss today. I don't really watch soccer, but I hope J-Bob's okay because prime example why you don't bet with your heart because, go back to the end of the season in football. He was saying bet the mortgage on the Eagles win the Super Bowl, which didn't work. And now he just said bet the mortgage in the USA to win the championship. So he's on his third mortgage now, guys.
That's
if he's following his own advice.
Going to need to refinance in order to keep affording those mortgages. That's rough. Yeah, I saw Mel had some thoughts about how Belgium has a sneaky attack or whatever. I don't know enough about soccer to talk intelligently about it. I know that Christian Pulisic is supposed to be some stud in the soccer world, but the dude had 0 shots on goal the last 2 games combined, and he took himself out today. So I don't know. That just seems a little suspect to me.
Typically, though, I say for everybody, especially myself, I hold myself to the standard. I try to stay away from betting my own teams. Now, I don't bet a lot of lines, but I like to stay away because I get skewed, right? You want to bet with your heart in that case. We bet with our head. So, no, if anything, I'd made money in the past betting against the Bears. It's usually a good bet. But this year, you can see Bears fans betting heavily on the Bears because it seems like a smart bet. They're a good team, etc.
Well, Caleb Williams is on the Madden cover. Ben Johnson is the new it thing in the coaching world. Luther Burden is steaming up draft boards like nobody's business. Colston Loveland is the second coming of Jesus Christ in the tight end room. So, yeah, I could see a lot of people steaming up the Bears. I bet a lot of the so-called handicappers out there, they just find whatever team is popular and hot at the time, and they bet on that, or they tell people to tail that because it's what people are already doing anyway, capturing that audience.
Dude, you want to hear something wild I saw? 2 days ago, I was looking at the pick'ems on, I think it was either Underdog or Prize Picks. They currently have Luther Burden for less receiving yards than DK Metcalf. Like, wowzers, you know. And one's going in the 4th round, one's going in the 8th round. So, maybe chill on the Luther Burden love a little bit.
That's wild. Wow. Okay, I wouldn't.
Or bet Luther Burden over. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do one of the two.
If you really believe in the ascension of that Bears offense, then go nuts. Like Luther Burden seems like his over on yardage seems like the steal of the century. And that's interesting too, because in that offense, Rome Odunze profiles more of your big play, downfield, red zone option, right? Your touchdown scoring guy, whereas Luther Burden is more your possession, technician, yards after the catch kind of guy. So you would kind of expect that his yards would be a little higher. That's interesting. Vegas tells us what they think about how these teams are going to perform this year. Don't forget, the Bears go from a 4th-place schedule to a 1st-place schedule this year. It's going to be a little rougher. The
upside with Luther is, the role you spoke of, but he has a lot of juice, right? Like, he can do a lot with the ball in his hands, we think. It's not a big sample for Mr. Luther Burden. All right, this is a great show. This is Safe Players. Before I get to that, I have a couple things I want to get to per usual. We're going to start this off now because we have 2 months. We're going to get to our real segments here. Question for you. Have you ever seen In the Cut with Meg Ryan?
No, I haven't.
So it's notorious in Knocked Up. You know how they make the site called Flesh of the Stars, and they report like their whole business is, this is back in like whatever it was supposed to be 2001, where like almost pre-internet, but right when the internet was really starting to tick up, and their business model was, we'll show you when these stars are naked, like the time, like 40 minutes and 10 seconds in, and this is notoriously Meg Ryan's like bad girl performance. And she's like naked the whole movie. And she,
nice.
Meg Ryan was not that type of actress. And Erica's like, let's watch it In the Cut. I'm like, just for the fact I know Meg Ryan's nude, I'm fucking watching it. Dude, this movie makes Basic Instinct seem like Shawshank Redemption. Like the plot, and Basic Instinct's not a great movie. I love that movie because Sharon Stone and Michael Douglas, you get to see his nuts and all those kind of things, which is pretty cool. And just a lot of good sex in Basic Instinct. And I love Sharon Stone. But, dude, this was probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That being said, you should check it out because it's so bad. And it's just – have you seen Eyes Wide Shut?
Yes.
It's like that level of weird, but just, like, not artsy at all. It's fucking terrible.
That is a weird movie. I actually don't mind that movie. It's just slow in a lot of places. I'll have to check it out. It's not something I'm going to go out and seek, but if it's on cable one night, I'll leave it on. How's that sound?
Oh, no, you don't want to watch it on cable. It's got to be, full on.
Oh, that's right. If it's on 100%. Showtime or HBO or something like that.
What was the score of the game? Was it 4-1? Did they lose 4-1? Because Connor said needed 4.5, under 4.5 to cash. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Connor.
I think
Connor, I sent you an email, by the way. I saw you joined the free Patreon. I sent you an email, so we'll get that all figured out. It might go to your junk. Who knows? I don't think it will, but your junk email, not your actual junk. We're going to cheer you up here, Connor, because we have a hell of a show coming up. This is Safe Players. Can't wait to get to this. I do have a stat of the day for you, though. We're going to start with some stat of the days here. This one is kind of a Malik Willis stat. So let me pull it up. It's hard to see on here for me, but this is essentially a list of 28 quarterbacks that have had over 100-plus rushing attempts in a season over the past 10 years. And all but 2 of them has finished as top 10 at the position. And one was Cam Newton in the Patriots year when he was over 30. And the other one was Lamar Jackson, his essentially his rookie year when he only played weeks 11 through week 18. All these other guys were top 10, and a lot of them were top 5. So this really comes down to Malik Willis. Like, we assume Malik Willis is getting 100 carries this year, right? Like, no way he doesn't have 100 rushes.
Yeah, I would be floored if it's under 80. Like, absolutely stunned. 100 is a lot. Like, it's a lot for a quarterback, right? But it's doable. It's certainly within the realms of possibility.
So the history says, though, if Malik Willis, even with those shitty offensive weapons, rushing is a fantasy cheat code. We all know that. And Malik Willis is a 4.4 speed guy, and he's not small. He's pretty built, right? He's essentially a Justin Fields clone with probably better passing chops, but no passing game weapons. If he gets 130 carries this year, which I think is in the realm of possibilities, 8 carries a game does not seem that wild to me. With what we saw, in some of those games, specifically with the Packers, this is like quarterback 6 upside. I mean, I know it's wild to say, but that's 1,000 yards rushing. Like, that is just free fantasy points, dude.
Yeah, but I would be willing to bet there's going to be games where he has like 3-4 carries for 20, 30 yards. Like, it's still a bad offense. There's still going to be 3 and out a lot. So even if he's scrambling on 3rd and 19, realistically, there's going to be a quarter of the season where he's just unusable in fantasy. So you better be willing to, probably greater and better in best ball, but you better be willing, if you're taking him season long, you got to be willing to weather the storm when he puts up, duds, which is going to happen. Like, this type of quarterback, this offensive system, these coaches, you're going to have several duds throughout the year. He could be a fantasy stud, and he could end up being the fantasy 6 in overall points per game, but it could come on the back of 2 or 3 huge rushing games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the touchdowns are going to be the stat that's going to be inconsistent, especially, right? So we need the rushing to be consistent because there's going to be a lot of games with 0 or 1 with touchdowns, period, because this team sucks. And,
yes.
If he has a 3-touchdown game, Malik Willis is going to be a top 3 quarterback that week because, he's going to have 60 yards rushing in that game. All right, let's get to some news. I have some news for you.
Guys, I got news. I've got terrible news.
See, this is exactly what I wanted a vacation from.
There are 2 guys in this church that are gay.
Who's the other guy?
I don't get the joke.
Yeah, he's never gonna understand.
What's wrong with that?
Love that clip. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing? Speed Demon Jonathan, always racing and dominating. Glad you're back home now, right? You were in the Midwest. He was complaining about the heat. It was brutal, and I'm sure it was even worse in Iowa where he was at. Let's get to some news items here. First one, we have Kirk Cousins, who is it all but a certainty that he is the starting quarterback? Because, says that, Sam Warren says, reports Kirk Cousins took all of the first-team reps in the offseason practices. All of them? Like, they're not giving anything to Mendoza? What's going on here? So it's Kirk Cousins, right?
It's Kirk Cousins season, yeah. The drumbeat has steadily been banging for Kirk Cousins since OTA started. And it's all but certain now that Kirk Cousins will be under center come week 1. So that's not bad. It's not bad realistically, it's not bad for any of the pass catchers. I'm not sure that a raw Mendoza is going to be any better to start the year than Kirk Cousins. Now, eventually, they're going to be forced to turn to Mendoza. Ideally, if we want Mendoza to develop into a premier quarterback in this league, you need to have him sit for a full year. My argument, I think you should have him sit for a full year. But you draft in the number 1 overall pick. It's tough for the Raiders. It's going to be tough for Clint Kubiak to keep him on the bench all year long if Kirk Cousins performed like we saw him perform last year.
It's just so boring with Kirk Cousins. Like, it's great for Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty as well. Like, the volume, like the yards will probably be less with Kirk Cousins, but like the PPR scam with Kirk Cousins, who's just going to check the ball down and have these long drives, hopefully, is like if he plays all year, is there a chance Ashton Genty catches 80 passes? Because I really think there is.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that he catches 80 passes. I think outside of Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty could be the leading receiver on this team. Brock Bowers will have the most targets, the most receptions, the most yards, probably the most receiving touchdowns. But outside of that, I think Ashton Genty could be the number 2 in all those, maybe not receiving touchdowns, but all other categories.
Yeah, I think if you take away Bijan, like I actually trust Genty's receiving floor more than Jahmyr Gibbs, which is saying a hell of a lot.
Right. Yeah. And second year in the league. He's got a full year under his belt. He performed admirably last year in a rough situation. We think highly of Clint Kubiak. The system should be very friendly for the running back in to catch passes. I think it's all wheels up for Ashton Genty.
All right, next one here, Tyrone Tracy. This is not great. Mouth is all about Tyrone Tracy, and they inherited Tyrone Tracy. They like Cam Scatterbo. They love Cam Scatterbo, and so does Jackson Dart. Undefined, and the upside with Tracy is they didn't draft anybody, they didn't bring anyone in. It's literally Devin Singletary and then him, and you have an injured, somewhat recovering Cam Scatterbo. Does this sway you off Tyrone Tracy at all? Because he's one of those guys where we think he's going to be that usable handcuff range, but are we certain they wouldn't do what they did last year? I was saying it a couple days ago that Tyrone Tracy wasn't the workhorse after Scatterbo broke his leg because he was injured, nursing an injury himself, that shoulder injury. But there's no reason they should play Devin Singletary, period, like over Tyrone Tracy, right?
No, there's not. But at the same time, I'm not on the same side of things as you and Mouth are. I don't think Tyrone Tracy, he's a nice handcuff, but he's not a usable piece in fantasy, in redraft. He's going to have a game here and there, but I'm all wheels up. Keep using the same cliche. I'm all in on and we talked about this on the last pod. I'm all in on Cam Scatterbo, and I think it's his backfield. And I think the Giants are in love with this guy as well. They're going to give him every opportunity to be the workhorse back. So to me, it doesn't really matter. Like that is what I was kind of expecting, that Tracy would go into the season with a bit of a nebulous role anyway.
Who do you have for starting for the Browns? We think it's Deshaun Watson, right?
I think it's Deshaun Watson. There was a news report that came out that said that the Browns are not going to trade Shedeur Sanders, which means that there's rumors about him getting traded, which leads me to believe that Deshaun Watson has the edge on the starting.
Would you put it over under games for Shedeur started this year? Because I think we all agree that it's going to be these two. There's no reason to start Dylan Gabriel. I think he is just a terrible, terrible, terrible quarterback. And Shedeur's bad as well, but there's some upside with Shedeur. What would you put it? 7.5 games started for Shedeur Sanders? Did you go over or under that?
I'd go under realistic. I think you're looking at probably 5 or 6 games tops for Shedeur. Dylan Gabriel's probably a camp cut. I don't see him on the roster come September. Realistic, like they drafted Taylor Green. Don't forget, and they've got somebody else on the roster still too.
That's what I was going to ask you. So Taylor Green, do you see Taylor Green playing like the last 3 games of the year?
No,
if they really want to go in tank mode. I mean,
yeah,
that'd be fun
I don't
tanking,
think so. Like he was drafted so late that they're gonna strictly evaluate him through practices. He might end up on the practice squad, realistically.
We're definitely starting and drafting and everything Lamar over Jackson Dart. It's not even close. This is Lamar Jackson, man. Lamar Jackson's the number 2 quarterback.
Starting in what?
I don't know. In general, the answer is always Lamar. It's always Lamar. It's always Lamar.
Week 1, though? Like we're talking about 6 starts in week 1?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I said it's always Lamar. Smooth says, is Brissett starting over Beck? 99% Brissett starting. And when Beck's going to come in, it's probably the fantasy playoffs, which makes it a really risky pick with Brissett in best ball because, he's a great value going quarterback 30. It's an awesome value, right? But if he's not going to be there in the tournament when you need him, that's an issue.
$1.6 million guaranteed does not speak volumes, or it does speak volumes. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence that Brissett will be starting all year long. If they keep losing, even if they're throwing the ball, everybody's in love with the passing attack, but if they keep losing, like the Cardinals are not going to keep starting Brissett week in and week out. They're going to want to see what Beck can do.
Connor, I just saw it. Connor is now a professional $10 tier in the Patreon. Shout out to Connor. You know what? I do this every time you do this. It's a beer chug right here for you, buddy.
All right. Congratulations, Connor. Welcome to the community.
Appreciate you, man. Did Naylor play with Cousins in Minnesota? He might have been a rookie. Did they have any crossover there? If he did, he played, but it would have been a very, very limited role because, the first couple of years Naylor played there, it took 3 years for him to actually get on the field like regularly. So
3 years, so three. Yeah, I think
maybe the last year
they did cross for a year. I couldn't tell you what he did. I wouldn't put much stock into, even if they did play together for a year or two, I wouldn't put much stock into it. Now, that being said, Naylor's not a bad flyer as a late round pick because we don't believe in Dante Thornton. Jack Besh could take a step forward, but a step forward from what, realistically? The only pass-catching option there worth their salt is Brock Bowers. You're going to have Ashton Dempsey, but they're not going to be able to run the ball and just throw to Brock Bowers. Somebody's going to have to catch the ball. Naylor has shown flashes. There's not a ton of upside there, but from a PPR standpoint, I think you could do worse from a 18th round pick than Jalen Naylor.
So I broke it down like this the other day. I prefer in underdogs half PPR and it's best ball. I do prefer Trey Tucker in that format for the bigger blow-up games. In especially PPR, but even a half PPR redraft, I kind of want to go with the guy I think I could be flexing with injuries, right? I think Jalen Naylor is going to have the higher floor, higher target share. He'll have a lot of those 4 for 48 games, which doesn't kill you. Like, starting Trey Tucker is risky, bro. Like, it could be a 1 for 17 very easily. And in best ball, you don't care about those. You want the 60-yard touchdowns, which is Trey Tucker is good at.
Starting any pass catcher outside of Brock Bowers in Las Vegas is risky. Even Jalen Naylor. I think Jalen Naylor, like I said, he might have take a flyer and see if he develops into something. You could easily move on from him in a redraft if it doesn't work out.
I got to get this clip in here. Derek says, nebulous roll. Holy smokes. Look at the big brain on Storey. Look at the big brain on Brad. Fuck, I love that clip. That whole scene, man. The entire movie of Pulp Fiction. But the first 20 minutes of that movie is just, it's so fucking funny. Samuel L., man, I'm going to be so sad when he goes because he's been in so many movies. And I think he was taking a paycheck for a while there after like the mid-90s stretch. Once he went to Deep Blue Sea, for instance, like that whole stretch. But, dude, so many bangers from Samuel L. Jackson.
Now he's doing Capital commercials.
We have Whiskey with Waters. Redskins better than Cowboys. It's Commanders, but I feel you. I wish it should be that. Eagles fans equals worst on earth. That's pretty accurate.
They did throw batteries or snowballs at Santa Claus or something along those lines.
Mark, the GOAT Mark, just got us a draft here. What's up, gentlemen and the boys of the community? Had to hop off quick before bed. Hope everyone's doing well with this. Covers of 10 light blue supers to get a draft going for the boys. Is Mark just the GOAT of goats? He just drops $20 just to say he's leaving and just to check in with us, which, God, I can't wait for Mark to get back more in the streams once football season gets closer. I know he's working his ass off right now, but cheers to Mark.
Yeah, what a stand-up guy. Pillar of the community, helping other people out. If he's not even going to be in the draft, he's helping other people out. What a stand-up guy that Mark is.
He is. He is a great guy. ESPN ranked quarterback 6 Jalen Hurts in round 5-6 as the bounce-back steal of the draft. He has the second easiest quarterback schedule for a bonus. Give me the tush push. Yeah, you said it. You love Jalen Hurts, so.
I do love Jalen Hurts this year. I love that Eagles offense in general.
We'll see if he makes our list. Guys, we're doing safe players here. And then Connor also dropping $20. Goat Mark. We got a lot of goats in here. We're rolling it in right now.
Mark tonight. We haven't even gotten to our players yet. We
haven't got to it yet. Well, they're ready for the segment. I do have one more. Thank you, Connor. Again, appreciate you joining the community. Connor's been awesome since coming back on and really tuning in the last couple of weeks. So can't wait to draft with you guys later. One more news item, though, here. And this is Eli Stowers, man. I know this is totally coach speak with a rookie. But saying that he is clearly third in the depth chart, I guess I'm going to phrase it to you like this. I'm not that worried about Stowers because I feel like he was always going to take a little bit of time to marinate. Does this make you more bullish on Dallas Goedert, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
We thought there was a little scare there of, is he going to kind of cut into his workload? If they play 12 personnel, is Stowers going to be the one running the route on some of those snaps? Now it's like this might not happen to week 6. Yeah. So –
no, that's helpful for Dallas Goedert. I think my biggest concern was the tight end was so heavily used in Kevin Pachulo's system last year. Goedert had 1 million touchdowns last year. Now that's going to regress inevitably, but he could still have 8, 9, maybe 10 touchdowns, and that would make him a screaming value at tight end. If Stowers is third on the depth chart behind undrafted behind undrafted Johnny Munt, right, who was pretty unproductive at Oregon. I think this is good news if you're drafting tight end late and you want to grab Dallas Goedert.
I wonder if this news, we don't like to overreact to blurbs, but I'm not overreacting for Stowers at all. It doesn't change my opinion of Stowers, but this does kind of make me bullish on Dallas Goedert a little bit more than I already was. I was a little bit off him just because of TD regression, but I mean, dude, you're missing AJ Brown. If you're gonna get the same role from Dallas Goedert, cut the touchdowns in half, go from 13 to 6. He's getting drafted tight end 15. Like 6 touchdowns is a top 12 tight end, no matter what.
Yeah, if you are waiting and you're planning on streaming Dallas Goedert, pairing him with a high upside guy, maybe a Justin Jolie, see if he ends up being something this year, or Eli Raridan, one of those rookies that you think might be able to ascend. Where is Aranda Gadsden being drafted?
Tight end 13, tight end 14.
I'm not opposed to Aranda Gadsden this year. I think Njoku, his style of play, tends to lead to him being a little more injury susceptible. So maybe there's an option there, and you run with Dallas Goedert, hoping that Aranda Gadsden can reclaim some of the magic, especially if that Chargers offense takes a step forward.
Derek says, Mark, what about those of us that aren't boys or gentlemen? They call those, you find a lot of those in Thailand. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure in Hangover 2, there's a pretty prominent scene there with Stu. Stu felt the wrath of that pretty hard, you know what I mean? And I emphasize hard. Whiskey says he hates the tush push, but he respects it. If you don't like the play, stop it. That's what we've been saying for years, right? And like, if you don't like it, stop it, which is, you know what? The refs are stopping it now by calling false starts in the Eagles every single play.
Yeah. Even though they're still lining up offsides, it looks like, but they are calling false starts now.
Luther Burden is going to have a big year. Only concern is target share, but I expect him to take over wide receiver 1 or function more as a wide receiver 1B by the end of the season. It should be early on in the season. I just said earlier in the show, though, Jedi, that Luther Burden has a lower Vegas total receiving yards, 825, or I think it's the same. I think actually it's lower. I think DK Metcalf's at 850. DK Metcalf getting drafted wide receiver 36, wide receiver 37. Luther Burden getting drafted wide receiver 16, 17.
Rich, man.
So, again, if you like Luther Burden, draft him, but also bet is over because
Colston Loveland could be the number 1 target earner on that team this year, realistically.
They're all pretty much the same. I think Odunze has the lowest, like $7.99, but I think it's $7.99, $7.99, and then $8.24 for Luther Burden. So all three of them, they're expecting it to be like they're almost hedging, like they don't know who the number 1 is, and there's the answer could be all 3 of them, right? But all 3 of them would hurt all of them. None of them would really return value. I think I would bet on 2 of the 3 guys. Not smashing their ADP, but 2 guys exceeding expectations and 1 guy's taking a step back. If they all exceed expectation, Caleb Williams should be drafted quarterback 3.
Well, at some point, right, the way that Burden's being steamed up, the Colston Loveland love, the fact that Rome Odunze should continue to ascend, like, yeah, Caleb Williams is a screen value. It's the same thing in Jacksonville, right? If people love Brian Thomas because of the value, think he's going to get back to rookie form. They love Parker Washington. They love Jacoby Myers. They paid both those guys. We should just be drafting Trevor Lawrence. Like that. Next thing you know, Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for 50 touchdowns based on the way that these guys are being talked about.
Derek, how many best balls did you do yesterday? So I took the day off yesterday, guys. First day I take off in a long time. No drafts. I wonder how many best balls you did yesterday not having the stream. I'm guessing 3. What's your over-under? Derek's been really hitting it as hard as I have. I'm sitting at 2.5. How many best balls did Derek draft yesterday?
You asking me?
Yeah, for Derek.
How can I possibly know what is?
I'm just it's a random prop bet.
Say
over under 2.5.
I'll go over then.
I said 3. I think the same. Mark says, Storey, what are your thoughts on Oscar Delp's future in the league?
So the reports out of minicamp were very encouraging. He was a pretty heavily targeted guy in 7-on-7s. From the rookie standpoint, he seems to stand out the most. But take it with a grain of salt because these are all, everybody looks big and fast in shorts. The problem is Juwan Johnson has a very well-defined role there, and Juwan Johnson is a converted wide receiver. Remember, he played wide receiver at Oregon. So I think that his upside is extremely capped. Once Juwan Johnson moves on, I don't think he's getting re-signed again there. Once he's gone, then it could be good wheels up. I got to stop using that cliche. It could be you could have a nice runway across Goodell, but it's going to be a couple of years.
All these fucking plane references, man.
Yeah.
Aviator, dude. Did you watch that movie today, Aviator or some shit?
No, I don't know what's going on. That's weird. It's just it's stuck in my head.
Delper Stowers' future upside. So as you know, I had Eli Stowers as my number 1 tight end coming out ahead of Sadiq, and I actually had Oscar Delp. You didn't have him in your top 8. I had him at 4. I love Oscar Delp, the archetype of player he was coming out of Georgia, and he was behind some really good players, including Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington as well. So I think we're gonna go with Stowers because draft capital, right? Just based on draft capital.
Stowers because he was drafted so highly, and he's tied to what we expect to be a pretty prolific offense. We think Shuck is good. We think he's going to continue to progress. We don't know that for sure. We know Jalen Hurts is good. I wasn't a huge fan of Oscar Delp coming out. Right, you mentioned he was behind Brock Bowers. It's fine, but his production profile his last year at Georgia was a little lacking for a team that didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. Right.
Hold on. They also misused Zach Branch. What they were doing in Georgia was a mess. I know Zach Branch is bubble boy, but like I'm not going to put a lot of faith in this offensive staff with what I saw there. It's a schematically. So I think Oscar Delp is way more talented than what the numbers would say.
That's fair. I'm not sure that I see it realistically.
Jedi's a Bears fan. He said it's been a long time since us Bears fans had fun in fantasy. Are you local, Jedi? We're all Chicagoans, so wondering if you're from the area. So,
Matt Forte, those were a couple of good years,
dude. You can get Laporta in round 7 or 8, man. His ADP is around 90, so 7th round for Laporta. You can get Dallas Goedert, guys like Jake Ferguson outside the top 12. So I get it. It's early or late, and I prefer Brock Bowers this year. If I'm not getting Brock Bowers. Unless I get Tyler Warren at a value, I'm kind of off leveling.
How far would Warren have to drop for you to be comfortable? He's being drafted as a number 4 pretty consistently.
Yeah, he's getting drafted. I can speak on best ball right now. He's getting drafted 63rd overall, so that's, let's say, end of the 5th round. I'd be comfortable in the middle to end of the 6th round when it's like, do I want to fill my flex or my second to last offensive player or get an elite tight end? I'm much more bullish on all of these guys in full PPR, right? Like all the tight ends, all the top end tight ends, because that's where their value's at, right? At half PPR, what's Warren's touchdown upside? 8, maybe? Not enough for me.
I mean, except for Trey McBride, whose touchdown upside is 14, 13, whatever he ended up with last year.
68 drafts so far for Derek. I am over 200, so I have I'm ready to 200 best ball drafts. All right, let's move on to the segment here, guys. This is safe players. Before we get to our names, the previous segment we did our polarizing players, the Jekyll and Hyde guys, the guys that could tank you, break out or bust type players. This is safe players. These are players that we think have a really good season-long floor. Maybe don't have the highest upside in the world, but like their range of outcomes are a lot more narrow. So in terms of building a team, we talk about this all the time. You can't just take shots on Jamison Williams and Jaden Daniels, and it's fun to do play like that, but you need to mix in some floor play.
Right?
You shouldn't. We shouldn't. But you also can't take all floor guys because you're going to finish 4th in your league. So it's all about understanding roster construction and where you're at in the draft. If you have some risk early, if you take CMC, maybe go with a David Montgomery, right? Like you want to mix in some stability there. And, you can't take CMC and Basel Tootin and Jamison Williams and Jaden Daniels. And no, let's not do that with injury risk and guys that have uncertain roles. So these are going to be guys that are really, really, really safe. Rashid Shaheed might be really, really safe, although his profile is not really, really safe. But we love Shaheed. He is just shooting up the draft boards. Let's get to the list, Storey. We're going to start with your number 1. And we had some crossover, so I just added some extra names to our list so we didn't have the same guys. Your first name, Josh Jacobs, going running back 18, safe players. Why do you love Josh Jacobs? Before we get to Josh Jacobs, let me ask you this. What are the chances? I think we all agree that the legal stuff is probably behind him. We haven't heard anything, and no news in this case is good news, if you ask me.
So before I made this list, Josh Jacobs was like top of mind in terms of a safe player to draft. I do want to clarify that you and I talked about this a little bit. We decided to give you guys more than just round 1 picks, right? Who's your safe players? Well, realistically, if we were just naming the safest guys, it'd be Jamar Chase and Jackson Smith and Jigba and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Bijan Robinson, etc. That doesn't help. You get
Derrick Henry even.
Yeah, you get one chance to draft those guys, and you got to be in the right spot. So we're going a little deeper. These guys you're still going to find in rounds 2 through 6, 2 through 5, whatever it is. Doesn't mean they don't have upside. It just means their floor is a lot more steady. And as Rob mentioned, the range of outcomes has narrowed a little bit. In terms of Josh Jacobs, I did a little research on this about why he was arrested, what that means for the future of him with the league, his prosecution, potential prosecution, charges being filed, et cetera. And what it seems like right now, the reason he was arrested was because there is a statute in Wisconsin that if you have and actually a lot of states have something similar, in a domestic situation where the police are called, somebody has to be arrested, and it's strictly to separate the parties. Most states, it's if the parties are physically together. Wisconsin, it's a 28-day mandatory statutory arrest. So somebody had to be arrested. So it's Josh Jacobs. They declined to press charges. Doesn't mean that they won't press charges, but at this point, the longer this drags on, this is a celebrity, right? You think they might want to get their ducks in a row, but the bottom line is, like, if they had charges to file, it probably would have been filed already. Even if it does come, the NFL is very good about letting the legal system play out. So I would say it's very unlikely that he gets suspended in 2026 in any capacity. Agree?
Right.
Disagree?
Yeah, and it's ironic though that I would have had Josh Jacobs on this list too. It's funny that a first name we have in our safe players list is a guy that could potentially, like, a low chance, never play again in the league if these charges actually were to come out. But this is why we're doing this list in July, because if nothing changed and we don't have any news, by end of August, early September, he's going to be totally clear. They're not going to come out in October and be like, that's way too long to have that time pass. So Josh Jacobs is only 27 years old. I thought he was older. He was a 20-year-old rookie. He has missed 11 games in his 7 years. Now, part of that is Josh Jacobs playing through injury, which we saw at the end of last year, which isn't great. But, dude, that's less than one game a year. That's safety. 36 receptions per game the last 3 years. Sorry, 36 receptions. Yeah, be awesome. Per season the last 3 years. That's pretty nice. He had, like, some 50 reception years early on in his career, but, like, that's a pretty high floor for a banger. And in the 2 years in Green Bay, he has scored 30 touchdowns, 16, and he scored 14 last year with that terrible ending. And, like, the depth chart, Chris Brooks, not Devin Lloyd. I wish it was Devin Lloyd. Marshawn Lloyd. Devin Lloyd would probably be a better running back. There's nothing there.
He remains a question mark from an injury standpoint. Multiple injuries since through his first 2 years in the league. Chris Brooks profiles more of a third down pass blocker, situational piece, and a true complement. Since arriving in Green Bay, he's averaged almost 1,450 scrimmage yards for the Packers. And you mentioned it, 30 touchdowns across 2 years. He was very productive in Oakland at the time.
It was Oakland.
Yeah. Behind an absolutely awful offensive line there. So from a volume standpoint, Emmanuel Wilson's gone. Who else is going to take carries here? Like, this is strictly, it's a volume play. That price tag, it's very reasonable. His production absolutely supports RB18.
And you mix the fact that Tucker Kraft is coming back from injury. You got Wicks and Dubs out of there. So you might increase this 36 receptions.
Don't forget, the Packers run an extremely run-heavy offense, and Jacobs is going to be the most beneficiary of those bulk carries, right? Yeah, again, we mentioned the off-the-field stuff, but the fact that he participated in most of minicamp and he's available to play right now. So give me a guy that gets the 80% opportunity share in a run-heavy offense in what profiles to be a pretty good offense.
And the nice thing is, at running back 18, like, I think we all agree Josh Jacobs is past his prime a little bit. He's still a solid player. But it's the security of the goal line role, right? Like, he gets all the high value touches there. So I think, like, he's not a Derrick Henry case, but he catches more passes. But, like, worst case scenario, if Josh Jacobs stays healthy this year, and let's say he takes a step back physically, and maybe they even bring in Najee Harris or some shit, someone a little better than what they have, I feel like 10 touchdowns is his floor. And 10 touchdowns get you to running back 18 pretty goddamn easily. So we're not doing any first-round players. And I was actually, when you mentioned that, it was pretty funny because I could picture the counselor doing this segment, and he would only do like an 8-minute video because he doesn't have anything to say about these players because he didn't watch football. But he would have like all top 20 picks in here. This guy's safe. This guy's safe. This guy's safe. I saw he had a sleeper video come out, and there was 10 names. Dude, they were all – the latest pick he had was like the 8th round. They were all like starting caliber players. I'm like, dude, first of all, there's no sleepers anymore. Second of all, like, anyone being drafted in the top 100 is not a sleeper. A sleeper, when we do our sleeper show story, it's called Deep Sleepers. We make sure they're after 220 ADP. We're talking about guys that aren't drafted. That's a sleeper.
Yeah, otherwise we'd just be giving you Rashid Shaheed all day long.
I think he had a Buka on his list. Like, a Buka's a sleeper. Like, all right, brother.
Watch him say Bashal Tootin is a sleeper this year.
Oh, I guarantee he was on the list. All right, my first guy, Mr. David Montgomery. We talked about him earlier. David Montgomery, RB20. This is easy money, man. 33 touchdowns the last 3 years. So I think you're going to substitute some. He's going to have a lot of goal line carries. The Texans aren't going to have as many goal line carries as what the Lions had, but he's going to get all of them, right? You see Woody Marks taking any goal line carries from him, like 10%.
No, in fact, there was a couple of reports that came out recently that Woody Marks' role seems to have shifted to more pass catching duties, spelling Montgomery on occasion, but also kickoff returns, which for a guy who spends a lot of time in the blue tent, I think is just an absolutely awful idea to put this guy on kickoffs. But I am warming on the David Montgomery train. I know I'm mixing metaphors there, but I'm coming around to your.
You're talking about trains now, trains, planes, and automobiles. Where's the car references, baby?
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, I think that Woody Marks is going to have a very specific role within this offense, and the Texans have signaled what they want to do now. They want to take the ball out of Stroud's hands, realistically, and give it to a veteran running back in David Montgomery.
So the thing about David Montgomery, he has a really nice floor mats, car. Get it?
Yeah.
60 receptions the last 2 years with Jahmyr Gibbs playing a part-time role there in Detroit. I feel like his floor is 30 receptions, which is really nice for a banger. This is very similar to Josh Jacobs. I just have written down here Woody Marks ? It's the blue tent thing. Also, what they did in the draft, they drafted Marlon Klein out of Michigan in the second round. So, they're going to play more heavy packages. They want to run the ball more. They've been really bad at running the ball. They have to set up C.J. Stroud with that play action. They not only paid David Montgomery, they traded for David Montgomery. So, David Montgomery is their lead back. Woody Marks might be a 35% snap player at most. I don't care because you're getting all the goal line work, and 60% is more than enough when all these game scripts are going to be positive. The Texans just don't get blown out. It's like a riddle. How do you blow out the Texans? C.J. Stroud has to throw 2 pick sixes because their defense doesn't give up more than 20 points. They're always in one-score games. They're going to be pounding the rock. Fucking love it. I love David Montgomery. I think his upside is actually higher than most people think, but there is just no way he finishes outside of an RB2, right?
No, but I don't think there's a ton of upside because he's a good pass catcher, but that they don't really – doesn't seem like they target the running backs in the passing game all that much there in Houston.
Also, first round, they drafted Kalen Ratledge from Georgia Tech, who is a really pro-ready run blocker.
Right.
So just look what they did in the draft, right? This is going to be the best offensive line C.J. Stroud has had, and this is a good offensive line. When I say good, I would say league average. Would you say league average right now for the Texans offensive line?
Probably slightly below. Let's see how this unit gels in training camp.
Still a definite uptick from what it has been. And also, let's just go back to what happened with our boy Joe Mixon. The last time we saw a true workhorse running back 2 years ago in this Houston offense, Joe Mixon was like running back 4. That was mostly in the PPR aspect. He had 60 receptions. But, I think David Montgomery is just as good as Joe Mixon was at the stages of their career, right? 2 years ago, Joe Mixon. This year, David Montgomery. Pretty similar caliber players. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say so.
Recent history tells us Joe Mixon was really monopolizing that entire backfield. I'm just not worried about Woody Marks. I think is my main point that David Montgomery is going to get the role. Let's get on to your next guy here. It is Chase Brown, running back 11. What do you love about Chase Brown's floor?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a ton of upside here beyond RB11, but I would be willing to bet that he returns somewhere in the RB10 to RB12 range this year. You want to talk about safety and basically carrying over what happened last year? They've got an identical depth chart at the running back position to the season prior. RB1, that's Chase Brown. He's the RB1 there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And he's loved by the coaching staff. Samaje Perine, he's backing him up, but he's older now. He's 30 years old. Taj Brooks is super unthreatening there to take very much work there. So with a healthy Joe Burrow carrying this team to a top 5 offense in the NFL, and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, this team should be extremely productive. They get down to the goal line. They still like running it with Chase Brown. I've got an extremely high floor for Brown himself. He's going to get the usage, touchdown opportunity. The only risk is health, but, that's a risk with every running back that gets a ton of opportunity.
All right, guys, we're going to get to all your comments here in 5 minutes. Give us a second. Chase Brown, 123 receptions the last 2 years. That's nice. So in a PPR league especially, dude, this floor is massive. He's going to have 60 receptions tied to and this has been with kind of broken offense. So last year was definitely broken because Joe Burrow got hurt. The year prior was good. I feel like this offense has a step a step to grow a little bit with the health of T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, of course. 11 touchdowns the last 2 years, both years, 11 touchdowns. That's pretty nice. Like he does it through the air. Usually has four to five receiving touchdowns, which is super nice. And like you said, Taj Brooks and Samaje Perine, not worried. Also, contract year for Chase Brown. I know it's just kind of a crutch argument, but you know what? He has something to play for. And also, Chase Brown was not a high draft pick. Was he a fifth rounder out of U of I? Fifth rounder?
Fourth round out of U of I? Yeah.
So why wouldn't they just run Chase Brown into the ground? Just run him into the ground.
His last year at U of I, you should go back and watch. Like
300 touches, right?
Yeah,
Unreal. Like 30 carry games. So he can handle a load for a smaller guy. And the fact they didn't draft anybody of note is, it's a nice ringing endorsement. The franchise is giving Chase Brown. He has these. He always blows up in the fantasy playoffs, right? Like he has these all-time performances, and he kind of has the middle of the season's kind of bummy. But I think this year is going to be really consistent. I like Chase Brown, especially in PPR. And half PPR, the value isn't quite going to be there because of pass catching. All right, my number 4, Brandon Ayuk. crickets.
Oh my god!
Just kidding. All right, before I get to my number 2.
Wait. We need to address the Brandon Ayuk situation.
We will. Hold on. I'm gonna hit you guys with the intro because the intro ties into that, and we'll talk about Brandon Ayuk a little bit, and then we'll get to all your questions. Who said Berardez?
From Pink Floyd, right?
Yeah, so he's one of the founding members, like the founding member of Pink Floyd, guitar player, wrote all the first 3 albums, all the songs, lost his mind. Like a lot of psychedelics, lost his mind. And Brandon Ayuk's lost his mind. You heard about the Jaden Daniels thing, right?
Yeah. No, I heard all about that.
What are you doing? Calling out Brandon Ayuk's mom and dude, he's not going to the Commanders, guys. So he's running out of teams. And check this out. I found this graphic. This is Brandon Ayuk's DraftKings ADP from going back to May. And the title of this should be what social media can do to your career. This is what social media has done to Brandon Ayuk's career. If he just didn't do anything, I feel like it would be at the 140 ADP, which I know fantasy isn't real life, but this is a reflection of what people think. And I think what the market is saying is that Brandon Ayuk's not playing football this year or ever again. And, he's going to probably say something tomorrow. He's going to say something on Saturday. He can't wait. He can't go 2 days without saying something stupid. The old saying of don't drink and text, someone you love or something, a girl you're crushing on, don't do it when you're hammered. Don't post shit on Instagram about the teams that are about to fucking sign you when you're Brandon Ayuk. Not even when you're drunk, when you're Brandon Ayuk. Don't do it.
Yeah, man. I somebody in his camp, his family, his agent, his manager, somebody needs to get in touch with him and figure out what is going on there. We might see him in Canada. We might see him in the AFL. I don't think he's playing this year. At the very least, he might never play in the NFL again.
No, you know what? He likes attention. He's just, look what I can do.
No, Cookies, absolutely not. You're going to get hyper. I am not hyper. Look what I can do. That suit is not holding at all. Look what I can do. 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 Look what I can do.
Nice.
Jedi, we might be talking about Jared Goff in a second for sure. Joe Burrow is a safe choice of quarterback. I mean, he is, but he isn't because the health thing, right? If you take away the health thing, Joe Burrow is about as safe as it gets. But it's hard to say a guy that has missed a lot of time and not just 2 or 3 games. When he's out, essentially until December.
How many years has he had a training camp injury? Out of his 5 years in the league, I think he's got training camp injuries in four of those years.
He's had 3 lost years. He had the ACL his second year. Okay, then he had the hand injury. Right? Remember when hand or elbow when he fucked up fucked up his hand and missed the whole year. And then he just had last year. Last year was a lost year as well. So.
Yeah, so when he's on the field, absolutely, he's extremely safe. He's going to be one of the best producers, but the question mark is, can you withstand that number of injuries?
Tony says, no way. Jacob slides to RB18 in my home league. I mean, he's got name value, and if you have a Packers fan in there, they will draft him. But I'm just telling you, like, that is his actual ADP in Underdog right now, and those are money leagues.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee in my home league, he's not going to last RB18. We've got 2 Packers fans that are going to love to scoop him up. So if you want to get him, sometimes you got to be willing, especially in home leagues, to jump up there.
Vegeta says, I'll pass on Caleb. Even J.J. McCarthy beat him in accuracy. That is rough. It's true, though. But Caleb was 31st amongst all quarterbacks. J.J. beat him at 29th. Well, yeah, but you got to take that stat with a grain of salt because Caleb is an aggressive passer. And, you know, he was a little bad last year in the intermediate game, in the short game.
Well, that's the thing. His short to intermediate game was where the accuracy issues came in. He was a great deep ball passer last year, but the short to intermediate stuff, I would say that's concerning.
But like the film, to compare J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams on film is just you're not watching the games then. I'm not saying that about you, Vegeta, but it's just a whole different brand of football. Caleb is ascending. Caleb has a lot of room to grow. J.J. McCarthy needs a lot of marination just to even be an NFL quarterback. I mean, we all agree Caleb's an NFL quarterback. I mean, he was one play away from going to the NFC Championship game last year. Is with his first year with Ben Johnson. So
I'm not, you know how I feel about this Bears offense. I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. We'll see. We'll see what happens when they have to play a first place schedule.
Wally's in here, so happy someone said something nice about J.J. McCarthy. And you know what? J.J. is too, because there hasn't been a lot of nice things. You know, I still like J.J. McCarthy as a person. He's kind of cocky, but I still have hope for him in his career, just not this season. And probably not in Minnesota. There's a couple things there.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Been a while since. What's up, big dog? Had to give credit where credit's due. The Ricky Williams jersey is hard, Rob. Yes, sir. It's signed in resin as well. We have Cap in here. What's up, Caps? What's up? Well, we don't have Caleb on our list, by the way, Vegeta, because he's not that safe. The reason he's not safe is not because of things we were talking about earlier. It's because his ADP. He's going in that same range as Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts and Drake May, and you know that's the issue, right? It's not if he was going quarterback 10, I'd say Caleb's pretty goddamn safe with his rushing floor.
Yeah, he's a playmaker, and you're going to get a lot of QB scrambles from Caleb. Not a lot of design stuff. We didn't see a whole lot of RPOs called in Ben Johnson's system, but you do get a lot of tactical scrambling.
All right, my second name for safe players is Quinshon Judkins, RB24. So, Quinshon Judkins played 13 games last year. Technically, it was 14, but I'm kind of combining his week 1, which he came back from that, that slow start with the offseason stuff because of the potential suspension. And then he got injured in the start of the second quarter of the week 14 game. So I'm combining those into one game because as a snapshot, it was one game. 256 touches in 13 games. That is right a tick below 20 touches a game, dude, as a rookie with that bad offense. Now, the offense is probably still going to be bad. Is it safe to say Quinshon Judkins is going to average 20 touches a game this year? Because I think he's going to. Now, the touches might be garbage. He's going to get all the goal line stuff. He's working on his passing game chops. He still had a decent amount of receiving game stuff last year. So I think Quinshon Judkins is as safe as it gets. You cannot get a 20-touch-a-game player almost outside the RB2 ranks. I don't care if he's in the Browns. Like, the Browns might be better than we think. They probably won't, but they could be.
They could be. In fact, I would say they probably will be better than last year. Last year was atrocious. Jerome Ford is gone, and even when Jerome Ford was there last year, this was Quinshon Judkins' backfield. It took him a few games to get acclimated and to become like a bell cow, but he was a bell cow. Now, we saw a Samson game here and there. We saw that massive one game where Samson out of nowhere. I think you're going to have Samson involved in the passing game. So even without the passing game, Judkins, I think, is a very safe pick. Assuming he's fully healthy, which all indications are he's healthy, like they're going to have to lean on Judkins. They also have a pretty strong offensive line, especially run blocking offensive line. The problem isn't the offensive line like it is in Houston or it was in LA with the Chargers last year. It's the quarterback play. So there's not going to be a ton of games where they're just stomping opponents, but Judkins is going to be heavily involved from start to finish.
And having two quarterbacks there is nice. Two options. It's similar to what they have in Atlanta, right? Where it's like if one doesn't work, they have a fallback option. You're not married to starting Deshaun Watson all year. You have the option for Shedeur Sanders, who at least kept this team on track a little bit. There was one side of the train was on the track, the other one was not on the track. But there's two options. And also, I do love Dylan Sampson. Like that being said, I like both these guys with their ADP because Dylan Sampson's going like running back 60 or some shit. Like I love both those guys. And also, I want to talk to Sampson.
I want to talk to Sampson. Fly me to the moon like that bitch Alice Cram.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that Sampson is playable without a Judkins injury.
No.
But he is a really nice handcuff.
Yeah, and he is actually more playable than he's probably in a PPR. He's more playable than Brian Robinson Jr. Right?
Yeah.
So he's like for how late he's going, he's actually as playable as some of these other handcuffs.
In a 2-flex league or whatever it is, in a pinch, in a normal redraft league, you're not going to need to start Sampson.
So you're in on Quinshon Judkins though at RB24.
Yeah, RB24 feels like
only caveat story is we got to see what the reports are. They've all been really good about his shin injury. We have to see as long as he's cleared, which we expect him to be cleared. He's already doing stuff on the field now, like full go stuff. That's the only worry about having him on the safe list is that he could be an Isaiah Pacheco situation, which is not good.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Again, the reports have been extremely positive. Now, you have to take some of that with a grain of salt because almost all reports are positive these days, with the exception of Malik Neighbors. But assuming like it happened early enough, and man, he was performing. It took him a little while, but he was an RB, a really steady RB2 in the league. It was looking really good for Judkins last year before the injury.
What's up, Silent? I just found out Silent lives in Batavia.
No
Local
kidding.
dude.
Nice.
He says, "What are your thoughts on the Cowboys? Will the defense secondary improvements make the defense better? Would they not have to play behind every single game this year?" So you don't like the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys. Give me your anti-Cowboys take, and I'll give you the positive.
I'm not anti-Cowboys. I just am not in love with that offense this year as much as some other people, and it's very much has to do with the improvements they made through the draft and free agency. They were very active, so I agree. I don't think that they're going to need to be as prolific. Now, they're still going to be a very strong offense. I just don't think they're going to be a top 5 offense this year because the defense should be a lot better. And I mean, what I don't like about the offense is that they come into the season with such huge expectations when for what reason? Like what if we still got Dak Prescott, a mediocre quarterback, coming in year in and year out.
Not fucking mediocre, dude. Get the hell out of here. Mediocre quarterback.
Yeah,
okay.
Mediocre. He's entirely propped up by volume, right? So I'm not in love with the Cowboys. I think that's a terrible organization.
He's way better than fucking mediocre, dude.
He's a mediocre quarterback.
Kirk Cousins
Mississippi State, and he's mediocre in the NFL.
Better quarterback through this stage of their career, through their age 33 season. Kirk Cousins or Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott.
Okay, well, all right. As long as you say that, because Kirk Cousins they both have one playoff win, which is a fucking crazy thing. So, but Dak Prescott's so much better. Come on now. Here's the upside with the Cowboys defense, though. If you look at every advanced metric and everything, they were really good against the run last year. Top 10 in every metric against the run last year. They reinforced this secondary. So I think they're going to be able to make teams. I don't think their secondary is great, but it's better than it was. Making teams one-dimensional is huge, right? So they can make teams one-dimensional. It can actually make their secondary even better. So I think this defense has a chance to be top 15, which I know you're like, well, that's not that good, Rob. It is when you have the offense that the Cowboys are throwing out there, which is going to be top 5 or top 10. You agree with that story? Their floor is like top 10.
Their offensive floor?
Yeah.
I mean,
dude, Dak, Lamb, Pickens, Ferguson, Javonte. It's a good offense. Decent offensive line.
Javonte, like that running game is probably going to be as it was last year, which is there's not a ton of upside in there. I don't know. Top 10 seems pretty aggressive, just to do the nature of the way things come and go in the NFL. Probably, almost certainly top 15, and maybe probably top 10. But there's a lot of good offenses in the NFL. There's a lot.
All right, I don't want to talk about the Cowboys with you anymore. Your third name, one of my favorite players to draft this year, one of my favorite players in the league, Scary Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 23 Story. This is easy money, baby.
Yeah, Scary Terry. He might be the poster boy for safe. Now, it doesn't feel like – it might not feel like it if all you remember is last year because, He played. He had the injury. He popped his head back up for one game, which was a really good game, and then he got injured again. And Jaden Daniels was injured last year. He only played 10 games, but he's been in the league for 7 years. His rookie year, he had 920 yards, and he had 1,000 yards in 4 straight years. He's got 41 touchdowns in the 7 years in his career. You know what you're getting from Terry McLaurin, right? You're going to get half a dozen TVs. You're going to get 1,000, 1,100 yards, and he should catch 70, 75 passes. Are those huge numbers? No, they're not. But unless you completely ignore tight end for the first 3 or 4 rounds, you're probably going to be able to grab him as a wide receiver too, right? Because he's going wide receiver 23. Given the questions around the guys that are going in that ADP range, we talked about Luther Burden a little bit. Mike Evans is going in that range, and there's no certainty that he's the number one there in San Francisco. Give me the safety of Terry McLaurin. I think he's a screaming value from a safe player perspective this year.
I am more bullish on his upside than you are, just based on the reports that they're going to use him more creatively. And I broke this down in the Discord for somebody. The worry is we almost want Brandon Ayuk or Stephon Diggs or an ancillary receiver there so they can't just double team Terry McLaurin. You saw what happened with DK Metcalf last year in Pittsburgh, where it was like he had no shot to be consistent because they were blanketing him on every snap. He'll still return value if they don't bring anyone else in because the volume, 10+ targets a game. Here's the 5 years before the injury year last year, which was a bad. He held out because they didn't want to pay him, which was on the Commanders. 87, 77, 77, 79, and 82 catches. That is so consistent. 80 catches a year. The one full year he had with Jaden Daniels as a rookie, 13 touchdowns. Now, that's not sustainable, but you saw that their games match up so well together. And I think we've never seen the true upside of Terry McLaurin because they've only asked him to be a very static player, an X receiver that doesn't go in motion. They don't use him creatively. If we just get 33% of what they did with JSN and what they do with, Puka and specifically Jamar Chase, just 33% of that usage. Because right now they're giving about 10% of that. Yeah. They're going to give so many more layups to Terry McLaurin. The deep stuff will always be there. The improv stuff with Jaden Daniels scrambling is always going to be there. I think if they both stay healthy, again, this is kind of a big if, especially with Jaden Daniels. What's McLaurin's floor? Wide receiver 26? Worst case scenario, everything breaks bad.
I would have said wide receiver 25, but yeah, wide receiver 26, 24, 25, 26.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range. I mean, I think you could lock in 70 receptions for him. And that's just going to almost guarantee that he's a wide receiver too. And there is the upside. You mentioned it, 13 touchdowns. Maybe he can get us back to 10 and get double touchdowns. Right?
Yeah, and I just love the player too. Like last year, it was so uncharacteristic for him to hold out because, Terry McLaurin is that first guy in the building, last guy out, team guy, loves, he just wanted to get signed. He wanted to get his. And, of course, the Commanders fucking fumbled that because they fumble everything. But they need him, and I'm not worried either way. I prefer they bring someone else in there just to take some pressure off him. But worst-case scenario, they don't. He's going to have, 150 targets this year, which you don't find guys getting 150 targets going in this range. Fourth, fifth round.
Amazing. 150 targets would be amazing in that offense. And there's nobody else there. I've liked Antonio Williams. I still like Antonio Williams, but he's a rookie, right? And his Clemson profile, it leaves a little bit to be desired. Chigakwankwo, there's no pass-catching running back realistically on the roster. Rashad White.
Oh, Rashad White.
Yes,
that's it.
Yeah, I guess. With the lack of pass-catching around him, I don't know if 10 targets a game is realistically or reasonably whatever. I don't know if that's realistic, but a 30% target share is certainly within the realm of possibility.
All right, we got to get to my number 3 real quick. I do want to shout out to all the Patreon bros. Appreciate everybody in here supporting us. And I have a couple promotions here for you guys. So if we get 10 subs, the first 10 subs we get in July qualify to be entered into a drawing for a free month in the community. So sub to the channel. Say sub in the chat. I can go find it in my YouTube studio. I don't want to have to go back and look at all 10. So say sub. I'll write it down, and you'll be entered into a live drawing to get a free month. Pretty easy stuff. It's free to sub, and then you can get a free entry into our community, and we have a lot of good stuff to offer here, guys. There it is, right there. Discord, community fantasy leagues. We have some spots open in some of our leagues. We have a lot of leagues, so plenty of leagues there. Guest appearances on the show, free merchandise giveaways, hats, and the shirt Storey's wearing. We're giving away every single month for free. I ship it to you, no cost to anybody Also, access to the betting plays, guys. If you're a betting man and you've been losing, even if you've been winning, why not win more? 96 and 58 last year. These are all even odds bets. I do release them on Saturday, but I bet them on Wednesday. So if you get in the community, you get them when I place them with the actual betting slip. And also, you're going to get Mike Storey's college plays this year. Really looking forward to that. That's going to be a good time. So go over to the website, professionalfanatics.com. Go to the link in the description. Just go over to Patreon, hop in the community, and we're getting into the nitty-gritty, man. 2 months now. This is the time to get in. This is the time to start making that money, right, Storey? We've got to start making this money.
It's going to be – training camp's going to be here before you know it, and the next thing you know, your commissioner is going to be calling you up and be like, hey, can you do the draft on August 28th? And you'd be like, oh, man, I got to start preparing. Well, start preparing today. Start taking notes, right? Safe players, upside players. Here's your opportunity to get a leg up on your league mates. Also, but also tell your league mates about the community. Have them come and join, right? Because you want to play against the best, right? The best of the best of the best, sir.
Sir, yeah. Also, you know what? If you're in the community, refer a friend, you get 10% off a league, or you get a free month. So refer somebody, have them drop your name. Guess what? Everyone wins. Storey, what do we call the community? What do we call the Discord? It's the place to be.
It's what do you call it, Kramer? It was. Come on, Rudy. Come on. We call it the place. The place to be. Yes.
All right. My next name, DK Metcalf. I know it seems wild to say he's a safe player. You know why he's safe? Because he's going wide receiver 37. He's outside of the starting range in wide receivers. And I told you about his Vegas line. Literally, he's at 850. He is higher. He's as high as Emeka Ibuka in terms of what Vegas is projecting him. And his touchdown numbers the last 4 years, 6, 8, 5, and 7. He's getting you 6 to 7 touchdowns a year. He's never hurt. In 7 years, he has missed 4 games due to injury, and he's been suspended 2 games. So he's actually almost as likely to be suspended as he is hurt. Talk about safe. Like, I think he still has upside because DK Metcalf can still play. This is the cheapest we've ever seen him. He busts every year at his ADP because he gets drafted wide receiver 20, and he finishes wide receiver 27 every single year. It's like clockwork. Now he can do the same thing he's been doing, which he should, and like I mentioned earlier with the Terry McLaurin thing, last year he was doomed because it was literally Kenny Gainwell and the tight ends, and they had no receiving help. It was literally the worst crew of wide receivers around him. He was getting doubled on every play. This year they have Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's going to take a lot of attention. He's a professional receiver that's going to clog up that middle. DK is going to have free lanes, baby. And I'm not saying I'm all about drafting DK this year, but if you miss out, you go early quarterback, you go early tight ends, you go robust running back. You want to get that third running back in your roster for stability. If you drafted Travion Henderson, you're not sold on him, for instance, or Bashal Tutin. DK Metcalf's a fine flex. For the floor.
Yeah.
You don't like it very much. I can see you don't like it.
37. It's hard to ignore that price at 37. That just seems wild for a guy that had so much potential coming into this league. But so does it concern you that Michael Pittman is there, right? You got some youthful energy with Jeremy Bernard. You've got Aaron Rodgers another year older, and he looked pretty dusty last year. McCarthy taking over a Pittsburgh offense that was 16th in scoring last year. McCarthy himself, he kind of fell off in terms of his offense with Dallas in 2024. It was 21st in scoring, something like that. So there's a lot of concerns, yellow flags. So
you know why I'm not concerned, though? It's because every single year – now, it's usually inefficient. Somehow DK Metcalf's red zone stuff is really inefficient. Even though he's a monster, he's always in the top 10, usually top 5 in red zone targets. And that was last year as well. That's not going to change this year. And now instead of having 3 guys right around him, it's going to be 1 or 2 because Michael Pittman's there. So I just feel like there's just no way he busted this. Now, your argument is probably what's the point? Is that what I'm feeling from you?
What's the point? And I guess if this entire offense is just miserable this year, what can you realistically expect from DK Metcalf? Like, he was the only show in town last year, and
he had 90 targets last year, dude. He's got to get more than that,
But why? Why would he get more when Pittman's on the roster now? How could he possibly get more?
You agree that DK Metcalf's still a very good receiver, not top 10, but top 20 in the NFL, right?
He's good. I wouldn't say he's a very good receiver.
Top 20 talent in the league, borderline, dude.
I don't
Not
know.
many guys. Like, give me a guy that's better at taking a slant to the house than DK Metcalf. You can't. AJ Brown, maybe.
Yes, A.J. Brown, certainly A.J. Brown, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Those are
not a slant to the house. He doesn't have long speed like DK does, dude. DK's still a 4.3 guy. Come on. Like, the talent's there. The opportunities should still be pretty good. Like, I think no one's baking in the fact that DK Metcalf's a home run hitter and a very good player. Now, he's a raw player. He's still raw in his 7th year.
Raw in his 7th year in the league?
Yeah, he doesn't understand how to beat zone. I don't care. He's a useful player that has a spot in this offense. He's still the number 1 receiver there. I'm sorry, Michael Pittman is not the number 1. DK Metcalf is still the true alpha, the X receiver. I love it. Wide receiver 37, I love it.
I mean, I get it, what you're saying. He's safe from a wide receiver 37 standpoint. I just don't know that at that point in the draft, why am I not swinging for the fences? What's the point of a DK Metcalf? I don't need a guy.
He has a swing for the fence because of the ability he has, you know?
Yeah, but what's his PPR points per game cap? Like 10 over the course of a year? Like, I don't need that on my roster.
I like it more in half PPR.
Okay, I can kind of see it a little bit more there, but I don't need a guy who's going to get me 10 PPR points per game over the course of 17 games. 170 points on my roster, it's just clogging my roster.
Stop disagreeing with me, Storey. I don't like this. I'm kidding. No, valid points. But I think the price point that's why he's on this list, right? If he was wide receiver 32, I would be a little bit more, I don't think I like it. But wide receiver 37, outside the starting range, love it. Your next guy, Tet McMillan, wide receiver 19. Why do you love Tet, and why do you think he's so safe?
Yeah, man. He finished as a wide receiver 15 last year as a rookie. This coaching staff is mostly intact. Dave Canales is it's his 3rd year. They're returning 9 of 11 offensive starters this year. Really, the only thing standing in the way of him becoming a wide receiver 1 could be the overall passing volume or the lack thereof, because they only threw the ball 515 times last year. But even with that, he had a 26% target share, which more than doubled anybody else on the team. 120 targets, ranked 13th in the league last year. So we do expect Jalen Coker to take a bit of a step forward, right? He missed the first 6 weeks last year due to injury. He's going to be more involved, but overall, this offense should be better, and it's going to be harder for them to throw fewer passes than they did last year. This team should be better on offense. Increasing overall volume is going to be better for everybody. Rising tide lifts all boats, et cetera, et cetera. So finish 4 spots higher than where he's being drafted this year. I love this profile coming out. This offense is going to revolve around. They need to make Bryce Young. They're going to continue to try to make Bryce Young happen. And in that case, how are you going to run it through? You're going to run it through your 2nd-year guy, Ted McMillan. I think he was very safe last year. I think he's more safe this year.
You know why their passing volume was so low last year, Storey? For one, they had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. And for two, there was that Rico Dowdle stretch, and now Rico is not on the team anymore, when there was a 3-game stretch where Dowdle got like 90 fucking touches. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen this year. As much as we think Jonathan Brooks could be the guy, he's more of a – I'm not saying he's more of a pass catcher, but he is a balanced all-around back. And Chuba Hubbard's just a guy. As much as I love Chuba this year, like that 3-game stretch, make 20 of those passing attempts. 20 is significant, and I think they're going to have 50 more passing attempts this year just based on their schedule being a lot tougher. The game scripts, they're over-under right now is 6.5 in Vegas. This is a team that won the division last year with 8 wins.
Right.
So they're going to have to be throwing.
And they took the Rams to the wire in that wild card game. I don't think there's top 5 upside. There's probably guys with better upside going in his range, but they come with more risk. I think this is arguably, outside of the next guy that's on my list, I think this is the safest pick of all the guys we've talked about tonight.
You said wide receiver 15 he finished last year, right?
Yeah.
Didn't it take him like 8 weeks to catch a touchdown too?
It took him, I don't know, was it week 8?
He had 5 touchdowns. Yeah. Maybe it was week 6. But he had 5 touchdowns total.
I targeted him in October, like everywhere I could. And I could not pry him away from most people. You know, as a rookie, like this is what we want to see for a guy coming. He's not Jamar Chase. Like, we know that. But from a safety standpoint, man, I love Ted McMillan as my wide receiver too.
122 targets last year, over 1,000 yards. It was 7 TDs. He had 7 TDs last year, which is actually really high. And they really started peppering him in the goal line and red zone towards the end of the year. But the thing is, he comps as a guy. He's a jump ball player, dude. He is a big-bodied X receiver. He is a guy that Bryce Young needs to lean on in the red zone because they don't have any good tight end play there. Jatavion Sanders and Tommy Tremble are not game-breaking tight ends. We do expect Jalen Coker to take a step up, but he's not really a red zone guy, right? He is a big slot receiver. He's fine. And then Chris Brazzell is the one person they brought in who is not an NFL player. Chris Brazzell, here's my hot take here. I don't think it's that hot. Out of the league after next year.
So I don't think that's that. I mean, a lot of people would say that's hot. I don't think it's that hot.
All right. Chris Godwin, next name on my list, wide receiver 42. This is mostly in full PPR, but how is he wide receiver 42? Mike Evans is gone, guys. And if you want to wait, I feel like him and DK are two guys. And I think this is even safer than DK Metcalf as a PPR scam. So he was wide receiver 3 in PPR before he got injured 2 years ago. Remember that? He was even outperforming Mike Evans. He had 5 touchdowns in 6 games. He was averaging like 7 catches a game. He is awesome with Baker Mayfield. And last year, he was playing an injury. When he came back, Baker was also hurt. So he still averaged 6 targets a game to end the year. So if he came back from the injury at week 11, I think, he was still averaging 6 targets a game last year with, Mike Evans playing half those games. Ibuka, that was, Jalen McMillan was coming back, Kate Otten. Like, now you're just missing Mike Evans. You're going to have, hopefully, a healthy Baker. Wide receiver 42 is a steal for a guy, especially in PPR, like I said, for Chris Godwin. This is 75 catches, 70 catches is his floor if he stays healthy.
So I can get behind this one fully. The DK Metcalf one I would push back on. This wide receiver 42, like, he feels safer to me than DK Metcalf. We forget he's a season and a half removed from being the literal wide receiver 1 through the first 7 weeks of the season prior to injury. So the injury history, we have to be concerned with that, but they all seem to be unconnected, which doesn't make him any more injury prone than anybody else in the league. I think people are going to continue to sleep on him. This is like an easy draft pick for me. He could easily be a wide receiver 3 in your lineup every day, every week. Wide receiver 2 upside. If he never hits his ceiling again, he's a PPR flex all year long. So I fully agree. I think Chris Godwin's in a great spot to be a very safe guy at wide receiver 42.
It's just easy money. Also, an offense I kind of want to invest in. I'm not really Kenneth has a comment down here. Are you saying both Ibuka and Godwin will be good? Yeah, but I trust Ibuka. I trust Godwin's ADP and the safeness of that. Like, I don't know, man. Ibuka, again, going back to Vegas lines, Ibuka is at the same yardage total as DK Metcalf, 824.5. At wide receiver 19, I don't know. I know Godwin's lower, like 699, but I think that's more injury baked in for Chris Godwin.
Potentially, but I mean, I fully expect Ibuka to lead the Bucs in all receiving categories this year. I think people underestimate how good he was, or forget how good he was, underestimate how good he actually can be. I don't see him failing to return value on his draft cost. I think he's top 10 upside with Ibuka.
Guys, give us like 10 minutes. We'll get to all the questions. We have 3 more names on the list. I got to get this comment on here. Not Storey is talking about boats, too. Got to get them all. Trains, planes, and cars and boats. What's next, man? You remember Mr. Garrison's the It or whatever, the thing that had all the things in his mouth?
Oh, yeah, the gyroscope.
Yeah, that's what's next. Oh, man, that's awesome. Okay, let's finish this list so we can get to the comments, guys. Brock Bowers. This is weird because he's 10-1, but I kind of see where you're going here. Why is Brock Bowers safe, even though he's getting drafted 17th overall?
Listen, if you're going to reach for a tight end, you might as well reach big, right? Brock Bowers is that guy at that position. He was a man amongst boys at Georgia, and his rookie year is the stuff dreams are made of. Last year came down to that knee injury sustained, trying to play through it, and eventually they shut him down, and then we saw what he did once he came back from them. His ADP might put him in the second round, but you're going to have to stretch to get him if you want to get him. You are only going to get one opportunity at it, but his upside is just the talent profile, the ability to make plays happen, his yards after the catch ability. Kirk Cousins is really good at targeting the tight end. I don't know that people are sleeping on him anymore because he's now the tight end 1. But he should have 150 targets. He had 153 targets as a rookie, right? Is 160 out of the realm of possibility?
Oh, dude, 180. 180 is in the realm of possibility.
Targets. Like, that would easily, like, week in and week out. And he's an absolute monster in the red zone. He's a red zone threat. He had 2 drops on the season last year. What do they do to bolster the pass catching room? We know Jetsy's going to catch probably the same number, maybe more passes. Jalen Naylor, find the wide receiver 3 in Minnesota for a number of years. Trey Tucker, Jack Besh, et cetera, et cetera. There's just nothing else there. This offense is going to run through Brock Bowers easily.
So I have no notes written down here. You can look at my page here. Everyone else has notes. Brock Bowers has squigglies. because I there's nothing I can say just because it seems weird to have a guy going this high, tight end one in particular. But the upside here, the upside play for Brock Bowers as well. There's floor, and then here's the upside play. Is you saw what Kubiak did with JSN last year. We were talking about the static nature of Terry McLaurin's game. JSN was like, what's the opposite of static? Whatever that is was JSN lining up in the backfield, being used as a true weapon. And Brock Bowers as a tight end is that player. He is not an inline. He can play inline. He can play outline. He can play X. He can line up in the backfield. He can go in motion. So if Kubiak sees Brock Bowers as the way to unlock this offense is to literally use him in every formation all over the field and make the defense adjust and really think about it, that's what they're going to have to do because they can't really just line him up and say, go beat the guy because he's going to be double teamed a bunch. But the awesome usage and the creativity that Kubiak showed last year with JSN, I think Brock Bowers is a better tight end than JSN as a receiver. I really think as a talent, which is saying a lot because JSN's a top 3 receiver now, apparently. I think Brock Bowers is an all-time level talent at tight end. He showed it at Georgia, like you said. He also showed it as a rookie. And last year, let's be honest, he was playing he was probably 50%, and he still had 7 touchdowns. He was playing with one leg, dude, on the worst offense in football. So Brock Bowers, this is just such a safe play. And the upside, he's not going to beat tight end 1 because you can't beat tight end 1. You know what he can do? He can put up 110 catches. He could do Trey McBride from last year. Right? That's what Brock Bowers can do.
Don't forget what he did so last year he was playing with Geno Smith, who looked really bad, but I mean their connection in the second half of the season was undeniable. He was doing this as a rookie with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, right? Let's not forget, quarterback play doesn't matter for this type of guy, this type of pass catcher. And the opposite of static is dynamic, by the way.
There it is. And the upside of both quarterbacks work, right? You have the two options. Kirk Cousins he was the one there feeding Kyle Pitts that tight end 1 stretch he had. Not just a tight end 1. It was the tight end 1 in football for those 4 weeks. That's Kirk Cousins. He's always been a tight end kingmaker. Go back to TJ Hawkinson's heyday. And then, Mendoza, who is a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks lean on A, their number 1 passing target, and B, they lean on the tight end and running back. There's 2 ways this works. There's really no way it fails outside of injury. And I guess one of the issues is drafting a tight end that early. But I think he returns value worst case.
I 100% agree. I was hoping that Trey McBride would keep that tight end 1 moniker going forward the rest of the draft season, and you could get a steal or a deal on Brock Bowers. But I think the fantasy community has caught up with that.
All right, I saved my best for last here. You ready for this? This is the safest player, Jared Goff, quarterback 16. I mean, what are we doing? Why is Jared Goff quarterback 16? This is unreal. This guy is the most consistent player in the history of the world. Did I not upload this? Damn it, I didn't upload the stats. I'll just read them for you. This is amazing. This last 4 years from Jared Goff. So where is it? Here it is. Here's the fantasy points in half PPR. 2022 to 2025. 290, 303, 336, 305. He's had 4,400, 4,600, 4,600, 4,550 passing yards. So 4,500 yards a year. Touchdowns, 34, 37, 29, 30, 37, 34. So 33 touchdowns, 4,500 yards on average. It's not like there's big drop-offs each year, like the touchdown percent. Usually you see this with guys regressing when they have the really high touchdown rate. He plays on the Lions. This is the same offense. You have St. Brown. You have Jameson Williams. You have Sam Laporta healthy now. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who takes, 2 or 3 receptions a year for 60 yards. This is what it is. And you don't have David Montgomery now stealing some of those rushing touchdowns. So Jared Goff should be quarterback 12 in my mind. But quarterback 16, it's just because the rushing, right? It's just they're like, okay, Jared Goff is giving you nothing on the ground. I don't care. 33 touchdowns a year. He's going to be a top 12 quarterback.
The nice thing is you're not banking on an unsustainable touchdown rate like we saw with Matthew Stafford last year, which is inevitably going to regress. And Goff has kind of shed the idea that remember a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, it was like you sit Jared Goff on the road because he underperforms on the road.
Yeah,
that's gone. That was an extreme, small sample size. That kind of stuff. You're going to see noise like that in a small sample size. That's gone as well. QB 16. This is a nice play if you're waiting on quarterback there. Most people. He's not getting drafted in most leagues, I would say.
One issue we could say is Drew Petzing being the offensive coordinator, but we saw this last year. If it goes sour the first couple weeks, it's going to be Dan Campbell. It's going to be Dan Campbell again. And, Jamison Williams is just too damn athletic. St. Brown is too damn safe and steady and good. Jahmyr Gibbs, like this offensive line is going to be improved too. And that's the biggest. I think people saw the end of the year last year, specifically that game against the Vikings, when he scored like 6 fantasy points in the fantasy championship, and they scored 6 points as a team. The Lions do have these games every once in a while. They do, because if you don't protect Jared Goff, he's a bad quarterback. He is just not mobile enough. He throws picks, but I think the scheme's good enough. I am not worried about the Lions offense at all.
Every team is going to have a stinker or two. Every quarterback is going to have a stinker or two. Josh Allen is being drafted as a quarterback 1, and rightfully so, but he's not immune to having a 6-point outing every once in a while.
No. All right, we have 2 honorable mentions I just want to get to real quick. You had Josh Allen. I had Khalil Shakir. And not too much to say about this. We're going to get to the comments here in a couple minutes, but Josh Allen, just super safe. The rushing floor is just too good. He still throws 30 touchdown passes a year. Essentially, he puts up mini Jared Goff passing numbers with 700, 600 yards rushing and 10 rushing touchdowns a year. Just it's never going to stop, right?
Mark him down for 25 plus passing touchdowns, 3,600 yards, 500 rushing yards, double-digit touchdowns on the ground. There's a reason he's being drafted as the one. He's 22 fantasy points per game over the last 3 seasons. I think it's very simply he'll put up 22 fantasy points per game again this year.
Has he ever missed a game? Did he miss one game like his rookie year, sophomore, or second year?
Did he have a concussion? His rookie
No,
year?
it's never been a concussion. I think he might have missed a game his rookie. I'm just saying he's missed one game at most his entire career. He plays hurt, and he plays good hurt. It's not like what we saw from Josh Jacobs last year when he played hurt. Like, you don't really see the drop-off from Josh Allen. He runs a little less in terms of like the rushing yards, but he's still going to take the ball in when it gets close to the goal line. It's Josh Allen. Khalil Shakir for me, wide receiver 54. Like, I know it's not sexy at all.
Real quick. He only played 12 games in 2018, so he did miss a few games there in 2018.
That was his rookie year?
Yeah, it was his rookie year. He missed 4 games that year.
No, it's because he didn't start the year.
He started. He played in week 1 on September 9th against Baltimore. They lost 47-3 that day. Oh. So he played in relief then. Looking at the game log, it looks like he missed a chunk between mid-October and late November.
So he has not missed a game since 2018, though.
I don't believe so.
It's insane. Khalil Shakir, wide receiver 54. It's awesome. So 72 and 76 catches the last 2 years. So he's averaging 73 catches a year, 770 yards on average, and 4 touchdowns a year. It's not great, but you have the set role of the slot short stuff guy there. And just think about it, man. He should have more than 4 touchdowns. I feel like that's his floor. And wide receiver 54, that is so deep. And if anything that happens to DJ Moore, they didn't bring anyone else in. I mean, they have Keon Coleman. They don't have anyone else there. So he's not a guy that would step up and be the true one. We saw that. It's mostly Dalton Kincaid, the tight ends, and Ty Johnson coming out of the backfield. But this is a safe pick, Khalil Shakir. What does it really do for you? More so in a deep league. If you play a 14-team league, I would love Shakir to be my bench receiver because you can slot him in there for 8 or 9 points, and that's all you want in a deep league from your bench receiver.
Yeah, he's safe. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. I don't think the addition of DJ Moore, who, he outside of game-winning touchdowns against Green Bay, he looked pretty uninterested. I think he had 50 receptions with the Bears last year. So I don't really think that changes much for Shakir. There's some drum beats about Keon Coleman being a change player and being a big part of the offense. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not putting too much stock into that. So, yeah, you're going to get what you get from Shakir. It's not going to be pretty, but you're going to get your 12 fantasy points per game, and you're going to get that, and you're going to be happy with it because you know what you're getting when you slot Keon Coleman into your fantasy lineup.
Kyle has Bucky. Should he draft his handcuffs? Well, not both of them. I wouldn't draft Kenneth Gainwell. It's too high of a price. You could draft Sean Tucker. I think Sean Tucker's fair because he's going so late.
I don't see a point. Like, what do you do? We think that Bucky Irving is going to get hurt again? Isn't that the entire point of a handcuff? Is to insure yourself in case your player gets injured. If he gets injured, what realistically, number one, I don't think he's any more injured. I think that the shoulder surgery took care of what we needed to take care of. Number two, if he gets injured, realistically, what are you getting out of Sean Tucker and Kenneth Gainwell? I'm not sure that either one of those
50-50 split.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty nasty committee. So I don't see a point.
You can't count Gainwell as a handcuff because Gainwell's going at in the 10th round. That's way too early to draft a handcuff.
Yeah. So then what's the point of drafting Sean Tucker? It's going to be, I don't know. I think I'd rather use that roster spot on another real handcuff, like a Devin Neal.
Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby. Yeah. Somebody that's a true handcuff.
Yeah, you only want to handcuff. I like handcuffing other people's running backs, but like you only want to handcuff when you know it's a 2-back system, right? Potentially a guy, Tank Bigsby is a name. Tyler Algier would be a name. Maybe even Mike Washington if we get good reports, out of Vegas. And they go so late. Like Kenneth Gainwell is not in the handcuff tier. Just like Blake Corum is not in the handcuff tier. Like these guys are getting drafted in the 8th round, 9th round for Kenneth Gainwell. Like that's just too early. You don't want to take a 5th rounder on Bucky and then a 9th rounder to secure something that you don't even know. I mean, I think Kenneth Gainwell would be awesome without Bucky Irving, but like you're just going to you can't play them both in a given week. That would be wasting upside.
Yeah. And from a roster construction, using a 5th round and a 9th round, if you expect those guys to split, then why are we even drafting Bucky Irving to begin with? And if you don't, then Gainwell as a 9th round pick, there's a ton of guys that have good value with upside in the 9th round.
Do you think Addison goes somewhere else to be a 1 rather than re-sign with the Vikings? Off-field issues aside, I think the Vikings are kind of just sick of his shit because it's not even that crazy stuff. He's just doing dumb things, DUIs, just knucklehead stuff. I don't think he's a true number 1. Let's start there. Do you think he's a true number 1? I think he's a nice 2.
No, he's a nice 2 from not even from a fantasy perspective, but he's a nice 2 in the league. I don't know that he would go somewhere. Feels like he would kind of. I'm trying to think of a recent example of a guy that signed as a true wide receiver 2 somewhere. It'll come back to me, but going forward, I don't know, man. I think a lot of that stuff is probably behind him. He was top 20 when he didn't miss much time and had decent QB play. So there is upside there. There's wide receiver 2 upside.
I always comp Jordan Addison to a poor man's version of Calvin Ridley. Just based on, playing next to an elite receiver because Calvin played next to Julio Jones, and they've almost outperformed, at least touchdown-wise. Ridley was catching more touchdowns than Julio, and Addison's kind of caught more touchdowns than Justin Jefferson, take last year away. And we've saw what Calvin Ridley did as a 1. He's not a number 1. Calvin Ridley's a good 2. And Jordan Addison's worse than Calvin Ridley, so I would never want Jordan Addison to be a number 1. A place that he could go, I think, would make sense would be like Buffalo because Josh Allen doesn't ever utilize a true number 1. But Jordan Addison's a fine number 2. He's not going to get paid big money just because the production has not been good the last year and a half. And also just the off the field stuff. Like teams know this stuff. And like he is on the brink of being suspended if he does something else again. And you want to take a guy that's going to be a distraction and possibly miss 4 games for doing something stupid in his car.
Also, I think they picked up his option. So I'm pretty sure he's a Viking through 2027 anyway. So a lot could change between now and the end of the 2027 season.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next comment.
I brought a little bottle of spermicidal lube, too.
And 1 little bottle of spermicidal lube?
Yeah, 1 little bottle of spermicidal lube.
Evan, that's psycho shit, man.
It's not.
It's like Charles Manson shit. What do you think Becca's gonna be psyched that you brought a bottle of lube? Oh, Evan, thank you for bringing that lube for my pussy. I never would have been able to handle your fucking 4-inch dick inside my pussy without that gigantic bottle of lube.
Hilarious.
Speaking of the Vikings,
I got
Justin,
a man about a lizard. I'll be right back.
I got you. Justin Jefferson, top 10 pick is wild. He probably won't be top 10 with Murray. I'll wait for Storey to get back, but I'm warming on the upside of Justin Jefferson because we're betting on talent here. And it's not just Justin Jefferson's talent. It's Kevin O'Connell's talent as a play caller. So you pair those two together. Last year was just a fucking perfect storm of shit with Justin Jefferson. He didn't play great on his own, but the quarterback room there was an F. It was an F. Kyler Murray has, we saw this early in his career with DeAndre Hopkins. He's not ideal. I think Kyler Murray is fine for fantasy based on his legs and what he can do there, but he's not exactly a kingmaker. He's the opposite of Matt Stafford, you want your wide receiver tied to a guy like Matt Stafford, because Joe Burrow, for instance, those guys are pocket passers that spread the ball around, that are elite tacticians with the ball in their hand. And Kyler Murray is not that. What Kyler Murray is good at is extending plays. And Justin Jefferson's an all-time savvy receiver. Once the play breaks down, you can't guard that guy for more than 3 seconds. So if it goes 5 or 6 seconds, good luck guarding Justin Jefferson. I think it's an aggressive pick there at pick 10. I do still take CeeDee Lamb over him, but I see the upside of Justin Jefferson because CeeDee Lamb has George Pickens to contend with. Jefferson has Jordan Addison, right? And TJ Hawkinson, who I love, but still, man, I'm going to have some shares of Justin Jefferson because I don't want to miss out. But it is a little aggressive. I would probably prefer a running back in that range because the running backs are really good in that range. You got A-Chain, you have Kenneth Walker, you have Saquon Barkley, you have James Cook. Like all of those guys, I almost prefer over Justin Jefferson. But let's not forget, I think it's recency bias. Like Justin Jefferson is still, in my mind, a top 3 receiver in the NFL. And I think he's number 2 all time in receiving yards per game. Puka Nacua just passed him. He's at like 88 yards a game receiving. They got to get this right, and Kyler Murray is a giant upgrade over what they had last year. And I think Kevin O'Connell, he's got to figure this out. And Justin Jefferson is going to be the main reason they do figure it out with Kyler. Good call, Silent. It also depends what they're going to do with Justin Jefferson because Justin Jefferson's most effective route in terms of success rate, in terms of volume of routes run, is the dig route. That is Kyler Murray's worst route. He doesn't throw it. Not effectively. He doesn't even throw it. So are they going to turn Kyler into something he's not? Or are they going to say, okay, Kyler doesn't do this and that good, but what he does a couple other things good. Let's dive into that. Real quick story, Justin Jefferson, top 10 pick is wild. Are you taking CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson in full PPR?
Probably CeeDee Lamb.
You still want Justin Jefferson over Drake London and A.J. Brown?
No, not over Drake London. And the A.J. Brown one, I don't want to say he's got, number 1 overall upside, but it would not surprise me if he ends up being a top 6 option at the wide receiver this year. So I want pieces of that New England offense. Like, it should continue to ascend. So I would have to think long and hard about this A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson situation.
So right now, let's see, 3, 4. He's going wide receiver 6, Justin Jefferson. What are the chances that Justin Jefferson is a top 3 receiver in PPR? Because if it's a low percentage, then we shouldn't be drafting a guy that's drafted as a ceiling. 33%?
I don't know. 35% sounds about right. 35%. Yeah. So you can't write him off from one bad year, but it was an extremely bad year, even when he was heavily targeted by J.J. McCarthy to end the year. Now, Kyler Murray should help that, but do we know that Kyler Murray still has it?
If he doesn't have it now, he's out of the league. Like, he's never getting a starting job. So, and I'm going to buy into. My argument was I'm buying into the talents of Justin Jefferson, all-time talent. I'm buying into Kevin O'Connell as a top 5 play caller. And Kyler Murray's talent. Those are 3 things that he has going for him. He didn't have – well, he had Kevin O'Connell last year. But I think Kevin O'Connell was just frustrated with, the training wheels he had to put on J.J. McCarthy. Like, Kyler Murray has limitations, but it's not the same as what we saw with J.J. McCarthy. This is a guy that's been proven to put up stats and move an offense, right? Zay Flowers is a guy we could have had on this list, right? He's going a little higher than the other guys we had, right? Wide receivers 14-ish, 15.
We would love to see him ascend to the next level, but at the very least, you know what you're getting from Zay Flowers in fantasy.
What are your thoughts on Ladd? I think we're lukewarm on Ladd. He's going at the end of the 3rd round, early 4th round. That feels like a decent price.
Like, I don't really like Quentin Johnston, but what's the realistic difference between Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston this year? I'm not so sure that it's a disparity of 4 rounds, right? That's what their ADP difference would tell you. I'm not sure that it's worth the premium that you're paying on Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, Trey Harris Trey Harris is a very versatile receiver. We saw that in Ole Miss with Jackson Dart. I love him with the ball in his hands. He could kind of throw a little wrench in this, as well as Rondé Gaston. David Njoku's another good target there. They're going to run the piss out of the ball. That is my concern, is this defense is still top 10 for sure. What is the target upside of Ladd McConkey this year? 120? Because he's never been a really big target earner.
Yeah, 125. Absolutely, I think that's the ceiling right there. Again, like, there's other guys in round 3 that I think have more upside and are safer than Ladd McConkey. So
now, if he gets 125 targets, though, Ladd is going to turn that into 98 catches.
Sure, yeah.
Because of the type of routes he's running.
A high percentage guy, so that's great. And from a PPR standpoint, he'll probably out-kick his draft coverage there. But again,
so we love him in PPR because Ladd McConkey, one thing he's not is a touchdown merchant. So in half PPR, I got to fade him a whole round. I'm comfortable in full PPR taking some shots on Ladd, but in half PPR, end of the third, early fourth round, absolutely not. Like, I'm not taking over David Montgomery in half PPR.
Yeah, the other thing is we assume that it's McConkey that will be starting in one wide receiver sets when they play 12 personnel. I wouldn't say that that's going to be 100% of the time. However, I think they're fairly comfortable with Quentin Johnston being on the field, and they are going to play more 12 personnel this year.
One receiver on his 13 personnel, and last year the leader in snaps right now, or last year was Trey Harris in 13 personnel. So I think they like Trey Harris there, and Charlie Kohler's there, man. They're going to play a fair share of not 30% of 13 personnel. I think 10% of 13 personnel, which is going to take Ladd off the field. Ladd McConkey or Terry McLaurin, full PPR.
Terry McLaurin.
Oh, that was quick. Well, there you go. One's going wide receiver 17, one going wide receiver 23. Would you rather have Tet McMillan or Pickens at cost? So we have Pickens going wide receiver 10 and Tet going wide receiver 19.
Oh, Tet McMillan all day long. This is where we're talking about roster construction, and I'm going to take some swings on guys that have high upside in the first couple of rounds. Give me Tet as my wide receiver 2, who's going to give me that safety of 17.5 fantasy points per game, week in and week out.
Kenneth does not like Bowers or his hairline. We all agree his hairline is terrible. Mike Story's hairline is 10 times better. My hairline is better than Brock Bowers, guys, and I'm 38. Look at this. You like it?
It's great. The thing is, Brock Bowers is vastly more successful and vastly richer, and he's a tremendous athlete. So I don't think he cares about his hairline all that much.
Give me 2 years, I'll be way more successful than Brock Bowers in this program.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm kidding. In a 2-year stretch, I could hope to make as much as Brock Bowers makes in 1 month. Maybe. Probably still not. Not going to happen. So it's all good. Thanks for shitting on me there, dude.
I'm shitting on myself too. I'm just saying, like, Brock Bowers.
You are a part of this. You are a part of the show.
Yeah, Dad. You need some of this.
This is cum.
New season of South Park starts in September.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, trying to get you another comment here. The Lions would be the highest in scoring in every metric. This is another comment. They're always going to be top 5. What do you think the upside? Give me the worst case scenario, like with health being there, not banking on injuries. Give me your variance in this Lions offense. Like, upside has to be number 1 offense in the league because they're projected to be the number 2 offense in the league, and they've been number 1. What's the downside here? Worst case scenario for the Lions this year?
12. They're projected as the number 1 offense in the league.
I think so. Ravens, Rams, and then maybe number 3.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the overall points per game the Vegas is expecting, but yeah, I mean, number 1 is the upside because we've seen them do it with a very similar set of personnel. A lot of this hinges on how great their offensive line gels and what they've managed to put together as a team. The downside, of course, is guys age and things take a step back and new play caller, and they're still a top 12. I would say the floor of those probably top 15. Like everything can change in this league in the blink of an eye. The other thing is they got a nice soft schedule this year.
Yeah, it has to be like multiple off. It has to be like a Charger situation last year for this to happen. For 15, like if Jared Goff stays healthy, they have to lose both tackles, and St. Brown goes down for a couple games. There's just no way they're outside the top 10 in my mind.
Yeah,
dude, they run so many plays. This defense is still going to be trash.
That's fair.
Like, trash.
Yeah, I mean maybe 12.
All right, what are the odds Emmett Johnson wins the number 2 role?
Things are not looking good for him out of camp. Mario DiMarcado seems to have solidified that RB2 role. The nice thing is he doesn't have to beat out Brashard Smith because that guy is all but cut from that roster. Probably going to end up on the practice squad. So he's at least the number 3. Maybe Mario DiMarcado fails to live up to expectations during real games. But as of right now, everything I've read coming out of camp is Mario DiMarcado has the RB2 job on lockdown.
It should be Emmett Johnson, though.
Should be. But Reed doesn't really like playing rookies if he can avoid it.
The fact that Brashard Smith did not really find the field last year is still head scratching to me. Especially like it's one thing early in the year, but once Mahomes went down, the season went to shit. Why are they still playing Kareem Hunt?
Yeah, why is Kareem Hunt their guy? They love Kareem Hunt there for some reason. I don't understand that.
Rashee Rice too risky for you guys in a dynasty startup. It's all about price, man. This year's gonna be great if he plays. Obviously, how much he plays, but the second contract is the issue, and we talked about this quite a bit a couple weeks ago. If he is not tied to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and this almost Puka Nacua level role he has there, and he goes to a team like the Raiders, no, I don't want anything to do with Rashee Rice. He's not an average receiver. He is much closer to an average receiver than Jamar Chase. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%. We've watched some film together of him, and it's very evident that he's not polished, right? He's great speed, but they've got some kind of like whatever Andy Reid has, whatever they're putting in the water at Arrowhead. Like Patrick Mahomes has these interesting connections with these guys that they seem to manage to get open, find soft spots in coverage. So you can see that if Rashee Rice goes to the Dolphins or the Raiders, as you mentioned, I'm not sure that he is nearly as productive as he's been in Kansas City. From a dynasty startup, if I am doing a productive struggle, sure, that might work. If I'm I'm playing for the future, I think it's nice there. This year, I'm a little worried about the rehab in jail and how things are unfolding. You always have to be worried. This guy's a knucklehead. You always have to be worried. Another screw up, he could get another 6-game suspension.
Brandon Ayuk is making Rashee Rice look really good though right now. You know,
yeah, I mean? maybe Rashee Rice is Venmoing him right before he's making these posts and be like, "Hey man, I'm trying to rehab my image here. Can you? It's easier for you to look worse and make me look better by default than for me to actually, do some stuff like some volunteer work or whatever."
It's like the Toadfish hall pass scene where he's like, she's a 5 and she's surrounded by fucking 2, so she looks like an 8. Like, you know what I mean? Like Rashee Rice, he's had some actual legal troubles, and Brandon Ayuk hasn't really had anything like that. But like, he seems like a great guy next to Brandon Ayuk. Like, I would actually maybe invite him over for dinner. Like, I am not inviting Brandon Ayuk anywhere near my house.
Just make sure that there's speed bumps on your street if you're inviting Rashee Rice over.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that ride bikes on my street. That would not be no. Okay. Quaid says, I feel like Gatson has a lot of potential. He just played sloppy last year as a rookie. He was always a project, but he impressed us last year based on his draft capital and the player he was projected to be. He was like a year early, we felt like, right?
Yeah, but he did have that 3-game stretch where he flashed a ton of upside, which is great. It's just that whole offense was not anemic, but it was inconsistent in the second half of the year. Joe Alt makes a world of difference to that Chargers offense. So we expect McDaniel's going to kind of make things better there. We're going to have a nice, productive offense. A lot of people like Justin Herbert. I think the jury's still out on him personally, but this offense should be better. The downside, obviously, is there's a ton of pass catching already available there, including the signing of David Njoku, absolutely tanked. But I'm willing to take a shot on him under the expectation that David Njoku might be over the hill, and he's dealt with injuries a lot in his career.
Yeah, if there was no Njoku there, like the floor would be sky high.
Yeah,
where awesome. Like, what do we expect the route participation to be of an Aronde Gadsden? Because we were worried about Ladd McConkey a little bit. Like, I'm way more worried about Gadsden, and he's not exactly a great goal line tight end, right? He's an undersized dude, so 60% route participation from Gadsden sounds good.
Yeah, I would say without Njoku, that would be almost a certainty guaranteed. And the fact that they're going to play, we talked about it already, a lot more 12 personnel this year means he would be on the field. So, it is what it is. Let's see Gadsden should easily skyrocket to top 8 if David Njoku were to go down.
What are your thoughts on Casey Concepcion? What are the chances he becomes the wide receiver 1 on the Browns? Because you got Denzel Boston, who is pretty much assuredly the X receiver there as a rookie. Yeah, now, Casey had higher draft capital, and Jerry Jeudy still bounced around. Harold Fannon's the actual number 1 there. He's the number 1.
It should be Harold Fannin, but I'm fully I've come around on Concepcion. The landing spot's not great, so overall, it's not going to be a hugely productive season from a fantasy standpoint, but I think it's a pretty strong possibility. Not just possibility. I think it's very likely that Concepcion becomes the number 1 wide receiver by the end of the year for the Browns. What does that mean in terms of this offense and that division? Yet to be seen. But, I go back and watch Denzel Boston. The dude can't separate. Like, there's just not enough for me to like him taking it. And Concepcion was hugely productive last year at A&M. That could easily translate to the NFL.
The comp for Denzel Boston is somewhere between Keon Coleman and Mike Evans. But I would say he's closer to Keon Coleman than he is Mike Evans.
I would say, I think it's closer to – I think we're looking at another Xavier Legette with Denzel Boston.
Ooh, that's fucking rough, dude. Jonathan Mingo. Do I have any Jonathan Mingo takers?
Oh, J-Ming.
This is a good one from Mark. Does the league figure out Shuck, or does he continue where he left off last season? I'm going to start with my answer. I think it's a combination of both. He can't fail from a fantasy perspective because Kellen Moore runs more plays than anyone in the world. They added Jordan Tyson, so he has weapons now. Chris Olave is awesome, and Etienne in the backfield. From a real-life perspective, I think they figure him out, and I think he has a lot of turnovers this year. And the question is how – he doesn't have a long leash, I would say. It's a pretty short leash because they still do have Spencer Rattler, who wasn't awful. He had a bad record in his career. I'm saying it wasn't all. There's worse quarterbacks. This is not a JJ McCarthy. He's better than JJ McCarthy. Not to throw JJ under the bus a little bit, but do you agree that it's gonna be fine in fantasy? But Tyler Shuck is a turnover-prone player. He makes some really head-scratching throws, and he's going to be comfortable, and they're going to be asking him to fucking drop back and throw 35 passes a game. Tyler Shuck could lead the league in interceptions. I think that's a good bet to make. What do you think about that bet?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. From a fantasy perspective, though, that doesn't really matter. All that means is
correct.
You're going to give their defense, the other offense, short fields, and they might be playing from behind more. So from a fantasy perspective, Shuck can take a step back, and he could still be hugely productive for fantasy.
Yeah, but the problem with that is if he does it enough, they bench him. That's the problem.
Man, it would be rough to go back to Rattler. That guy was
okay. Zach Wilson's there. They have 3 options. Come on, Zach Wilson was a top 3 pick. Guys, Tyler Shuck was not a first-round pick. I know, we're past the draft capital stage, but he is not a surefire franchise quarterback yet.
No,
small sample.
He's an older prospect too, right? He's an older player, but maybe.
Yeah, what is he? 25?
I think he's older than that.
20. He's older than Caleb Williams. I can guarantee you that, by a lot.
He is 26. Yeah, so he is
26, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's old.
What the fuck? Dude, CJ Stroud's younger than him. CJ Stroud's 24.
Is he really?
Wow. Yeah. I think Bryce Young's 25. So I'm saying these guys this is the 4th year now for CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud is 24, correct?
I'm looking it up. He is 24. Yeah. Goodness me.
Think about that. So you mix a 2nd-round draft and a guy that's pretty old. That's up there, man. Now it doesn't really matter because that you could play forever now at quarterback, but there's a reason he was an old prospect coming out. It was the injuries mostly, right? It was the injuries in college.
He got jacked around,
banged up every year, dude.
Oregon State, and yeah, he bounced around a lot. He got injured. He missed a whole season due to pneumonia, I think, or half a season due to pneumonia one year. Whatever it is, but with age comes experience and wisdom. So let's hope that it continues. I would love it to continue. I think you're right, though. I think he could still take a step back from the high level play, and they could still be a good fantasy team. I
don't understand how I became the Tyler Shuck hater because Storey. Remember how much I talked up Tyler Shuck coming out of college, and you didn't like him? I loved him. I had as my 2nd quarterback. And it was. I said he had the most arm talent in the draft, even over Cam Ward. So I was a Tyler Shuck guy. I had him everywhere last year in best ball in Superflex leagues, and I'm just not going to crown a guy. We don't crown guys after 8 games. That's just not good business. I'm not saying fade Olave or fade Tyson that hard, but.
I think you can make judgments for how bad players are after 8 games, a la Spencer Rattler. That guy was, dude. I don't know what you were watching, but he was bad last year.
The last 2 games were bad. The first 5 or 6 games were actually okay.
And they can't go back to Rattler. Shuck has got to play. He would have to play super poorly for them to go to back to Spencer Rattler or to turn the keys to the franchise over to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's busy in Bourbon Street with all the
There's MILFs. There's MILFs out there, baby.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, man, is we've seen this from guys their first year. Take injury aside, like C.J. Stroud was way better than Tyler Shuck as a rookie. Also, number 2 pick in the NFL draft. And he's been pretty bad. He's won playoff games every year, but he has himself regressed, right? Did anyone think we'd be talking about C.J. Stroud being drafted quarterback 23 in fantasy right now?
Dude,
2 years ago.
Where was he being drafted after his rookie season?
Quarterback 5.
Yeah, I think he dropped to like quarterback 8 in one of my leagues, and I was like, oh, the league made a huge mistake here. And also at that draft cost, you kind of feel compelled to play him. It's the sunk cost fallacy, right? You feel compelled to play him. So
did we think that Jaden Daniels got hurt last year, but even without the injury, there was a lot of stuff going on in Washington. Jaden Daniels was pretty bad last year, like half as good as he was as a rookie. Did anyone see that coming? Like Jaden Daniels was so good as a rookie, man. So to say Tyler Shuck is a foolproof player and trustworthy in terms of keeping his job, the other guys will keep their job because they were top 3 picks. He's not. He's 26 years old. Like there is a chance, and I hate like everyone just going all in on, oh, well, 8 games. He looked awesome. You know what? His highlights looked awesome. His lowlights did not look awesome. Tyler Shuck had some very questionable throws. He panics in the pocket. Like I love his aggressive nature. I love the Tyson acquisition. I love Chris Olave. Juwan Johnson's pretty good. ETN. I love Kellen Moore. Like all this stuff. The stars are aligning right now. But his cost is pretty nice too. I just think we have to be a little bit worried about Shuck, specifically for the receivers where they're getting drafted. Like he's not a elite quarterback yet.
Where's Shuck being drafted relative to Jackson Dart?
Oh, Tyler Shuck, quarterback 19, Jackson Dart, quarterback 12, quarterback 11.
All right. So Tyler Shuck is like the Kirkland brand Jackson Dart.
What I will say though, I love about Tyler Shuck is that he was, I think, had the 3rd most design rushing yards from week 8, whenever he took over the starting job. Like he was up there with Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Like, so not only was he like getting the, extending the play and then just rushing for first downs, they were actually designing plays for Tyler Shuck running the ball. That is awesome. If that continues, he's going to smash his ADP. My only worry, like I said, is that he could lose his job. I think that there's not a decent chance, but it's not 0. I think it's like 33% chance he's terrible and he loses his job this year.
I mean, but in redraft, who cares? I mean, I guess
agreed.
I guess Tyler Shuck cares if he loses his job.
Yeah, he cares for sure.
But we don't care. Like it's easy enough to replace a guy who gives you QB 10 numbers if he ends up getting replaced. His fantasy, he could be awful in passing and still be great in fantasy.
Who is the next man up if Godwin falls off a cliff this season? You know what that would really help? If Godwin falls off or gets hurt, Ibuka, because Ibuka would move into the slot. We want Ibuka in the slot.
Right, yeah.
McMillan is not a slot guy, and Ted Hurst is definitely not a slot guy. Ted Hurst profiles as an X receiver. There's not really a one-to-one comparison, but McMillan would probably benefit the most.
Probably, although you might see more Kate Otten receptions and plays from the slot. As much as I hate that.
What would Tyler Shuck have to do for the Saints not to draft a quarterback? And it comes down to wins and losses where they're drafting as well, right? If they go 8 and 9,
they're drafting a quarterback next year. They're not going.
Okay, what would it take? What would it take if he has to go 9 and 8 and win the division, 10 and 7? Because then they're almost out of the top. They're out of the top 20 then.
You would have to win the Super Bowl, like, or at least get to the NFC Championship. Like they're not going to go because Rattler's not the answer. Zach Wilson's not the answer. Those are both stopgap measures. They're not going into 27. Shuck is an older prospect. They know that they need youth on this roster. So and it's a super deep draft class next year. So I'm fairly confident that regardless of how Shuck plays, that they're drafting a quarterback next year.
Silent. Travis Etienne's not really sharing that much work this year because Alvin Kamara is very dusty. He's going to get his 25%, right?
Yeah,
Evan Neal.
I've started to come around on that a little bit. Like Kamara is going to have a role on this team, and it's probably going to be a bigger role than people who are drafting Etienne, HN, whatever.
We call him Etienne.
Etienne would like to believe. Yeah, I know. It's probably going to be a bigger role than people would like to believe. So I know that Kamara got injured, never came back last year. It was super frustrating from a fantasy perspective, but they didn't use him in the passing game. If that regresses and he turns back into a pass catcher, that's going to limit the upside for Etienne.
Here's the upside for Etienne getting 70+% of the work. They paid him a hell of a lot of money to not use him as a workhorse. that is, and he's just such a better player than Alvin Kamara at this stage of their career. I'm not even an ETN guy, but like Alvin Kamara has just lost it. He's still he's still a professional running back that's still elite as a pass catcher, hopefully. But like ETN is in his prime, and they paid him the money. It should be 70% ETN. It should be.
Should be. I'm just worried that that Kamara is going to eat up more work than people believe. So I'm still fine with ETN where he's being drafted, but if he starts to climb in drafts, I think you need to be a little more hesitant when making that pick.
The upside also is he doesn't need 70% because this team's going to run so many plays that his 63% might be equivalent to Quinshon Judkins' 80%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the total touches. I think he should have 300 touches this year, we think, but there's no guarantee that he's going to have that.
Like the thing is that pass catching role is super valuable with that Saints offense. And it's not like ETN was hugely productive as a pass catcher last year. It was a lot of volume on the ground and touchdowns, but the pass catching actually took a step back last year.
All right, a couple more questions, then we'll get you out of here, Storey. I got to start a new stream and draft a little bit. Katron Allen will take JCM's job, I hope. Ooh, that's a messy situation, brother.
Yeah,
I'm kind of warming on Rashad White a little bit just because I don't want to touch any of these backs in this backfield because it's like it's a three-way committee, especially if Katron Allen actually gets 20% of the work.
Yeah, who the hell knows? It's not like backwards cat McGee there doesn't love a committee, right?
Well, who's getting the goal line carries? Because it should not be Rashad White. He is awful around the goal line. JCM's a pipsqueak, and Katron Allen's a rookie.
I don't know.
Is it Jerome Ford?
JCM a pip? I don't think Jerome Ford.
Bro, JCM cannot break a tackle to save his life, dude.
I think Jerome Ford's going to end up on the practice squad. He's not a pipsqueak though.
I got a really good one for you, Quaid. So he says, do you have any general tips for the Eliminator drafts? Thanks. So the Eliminator is 6 out of 12 advance the first week. The first week from your 12-man league, 6 out of 12 advance. After that, you're in a head-to-head every week. What I've been doing in the Eliminator is only drafting players. If you get to the 11th week, you make $2,000 on a $10 tournament. So what I do is I only draft week 11 buys and after. So I want to have a full lineup once buys hit. Now, it's a little risky because sometimes I'm sacrificing value, and I'm like passing on Ted McMillan to draft Garrett Wilson, for instance, they're pretty close. Let's say you do like Ted McMillan more than Garrett Wilson. I don't want to get a week 5 buy player on my team in the Eliminator because if I get eliminated week 5, I'm barely making my money back. So I am drafting all guys post week 10, week 11 buys. Week 11's buy Mageddon. And if you can get to week 5 when buys start, you're going to have a full lineup every week against the head-to-head matchup you're in, and they're going to have guys that are on bye. So you're going to have an advantage. That's my strategy. I'm punting the win. To win it, you can't have this because you're losing week 11. If you have 8 guys on bye week 11, there is no way in hell you're beating that team, but you're making $2,000. So for me, I did about 7 or 8 eliminators. All my eliminators have very late buys. I'll sprinkle in a couple early guys when the value's right, but I am just drafting stacks. And not even just stacks. I'm drafting all guys 10, 11, 13 buys, 14 buys. Does that make sense, Storey?
I don't know what the eliminator is, so I do not know.
It's half. So in best ball, it's a week by week tournament, and your 12-man league you draft with 6 out of 12 advance. So half advance after 1 week. It's a 1 week sample, week by week, and then it's head to head. The field gets cut in half every week. It's a head to head. So you face a random team week 2. If you beat them, you face a random team week 3, all the way to the finals. And the finals a 3 seat. But if you get to week 11, it pays out $2,000. So I am just playing for week 11. I'm punting week 11. And I feel like it gives me a way better chance to get to week 11. And as long as I can just get to week 6, I feel get to week 5 when bye weeks happen, I'm gonna have no buys week 5, week 6, week 7. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I just feel like it's you're not gonna win the $40,000, but you have a good chance to make it to week 8, week 9, where you actually can start, making 10 times, 20 times your money. That's what we're going for here. That's the only edge I found in that tournament because I don't like the format. But I just thought of that and then weekly winners, I do the same thing. Weekly winners, I pair up. I find 3 bye weeks for however it works, and I'll just I'll punt 3 weeks, and that way the other 15, 14 weeks, whatever, I have a full lineup. So those are ways weekly winners only pay out every week. There's no total at the end of the year. So those are some edges I've found, and that's why I don't do those drafts in the when they stream, because everyone knows my strategy and they're all going to do that too. So I'm doing those individually, and I think those are some edges that I found. Who knows? I don't think there is an edge in that tournament, but I think that's the only way to maximize your winnings there, because winning that tournament is just such a fucking coin flip.
It seems reasonable. Without really knowing anything about the tournament, that strategy seems like it could be productive. Like, you're not trying to win the tournament because, again, you mentioned it's a coin flip, so at least maximize the expected value of the entries that you have, right?
Jonathan, there's a trade in the Dynasty. I did not see this. Did you see it, Storey?
No, I saw somebody picked up TJ Hawkinson today, so.
What?
Yeah.
What was the trade, man? I don't see it. Hold on. Let's see here. Holy shit. Jonathan, did you get Bucky Irving? So is Jaden Blue in a 2027 first rounder for Bucky Irving?
Jaden Blue in a 27 first for Bucky Irving. Ooh, that's pretty fair.
So, Jonathan, you like that, but you had a good team. You have a lot of running backs. It's going to hurt your chances to win this year, brother. But 27 first rounder is pretty good.
Yeah.
We would have done that trade.
I absolutely would have done that trade.
Wow. Fireworks going on in our Dynasty League. I didn't even see this. I haven't been paying attention to it because I'm just wrapped up in best ball and
I
everything.
usually get notifications of that. I did not see that. I saw the roster moves, but I didn't see that today.
He has 4 running backs, like starting running backs on his team. Jonathan does, so I can see why he did that. But 2027 first rounder is pretty nice. So you got your own first rounder back in that trade, which I see. So, all right, yeah, I think it's pretty fair. I think it's a fair trade. I would prefer the Bucky side personally, just with the upside that Bucky becomes Bucky Irving again, and he's worth way more than a first rounder. But it is the 2027 draft, which is elite. So like that's essentially like a first and a second in most years, right?
Yeah, I mean, depends on where in the first, but I don't think there's a bad pick in the first round. It's just that the first 5 or so picks are really good next year.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Great show, Storey, as always. You are the GOAT. Guys, in 10 minutes or so, I'm going to make a new stream for Underdog. If you want to come draft with us or just come hang out, Quaid, Jonathan, I know you can't draft Underdog because, Nevada is just a wild state. Everything else is legal, but you just can't do Underdog there. Goddamn, why would you want to do that? Why would they let you do that?
Well, because of the casino lobby there, obviously.
They don't have best ball at casino lobbies, though. I mean,
they've got a casino lobby. They don't want people playing best ball in Nevada.
It's a good call. All right. Anyway. Great show as always, man. We'll see you later this week. We'll figure something out here, and we're going to draft best ball here in 10 minutes. So I'll talk to you soon, Storey. You're the man. Happy 4th to you, by the way. I didn't say that.
4th to everybody. Nice, robust conversation in the chat tonight. It's great to see everybody engaged.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for the supers. We'll see you in a little bit. Storey, you're the man. And thank you guys. Love your life. Stay positive and respect each other. We're out.
You just seem like a good dude. I thought I'd see if you wanted to grab a beer, that's all. I'm glad you called. We get home safe, Pistol.
You got it, Jobin.
I'm sorry, what?
Nothing.
Oh, what'd you say?
I don't know. You nicknamed me Pistol, and I just called you Jobin. It means nothing. I'm drunk. I'm gonna call a cab.
All right, man. You have my number, yeah?